Okay, I think we're better now. I had trouble with the wireless mic. I need to use it for this one demo, but for now I'm just going to talk on this to start. So let me just fire up this dumb Instagram thing because it's always a manual process. So annoying. So annoying. Channel's going over here. Alright, that's also going on Twitch as well. Good. Okay. Still have the hum here. So, since I haven't tracked down the hum yet, I'm going to leave it because it's going to cut off some of the keyboard sounds here. Still kind of quiet on here. I'm not sure why. Test 1 2 test. Okay, let me back this one off and see if this mic picks up anything. Test 1 2 1 2. Okay, so it needs a little bit more gain, looks like. That should be better. Hopefully the hum didn't get worse. It does sound better on the replay. I'm doing a YouTube shadow here just so I can hear what you guys are supposed to hear. Give me a holler. Let me know if that sounds bad to you. So far it sounds good on the YouTube replay. What's up, David and Robert and Steve? Oh, sorry, Steinman. Who else is on here? That's it for now. Yeah, impromptu, so I didn't expect a lot of people to come on. I'm just going to screw around with some sounds. Subculture Ghosts. Here is the StreamYard if people want to jump in. I'm going to pin that. Okay, so now I'm going to get rid of those comments there because they're taking up too much real estate. Let's go to this guy. So I haven't played my EX5 in a long time. It's a big sucker. There it is. Can't quite make out the patch name because the contrast on this camera is kind of crap. You can probably barely see it. I can read them out. I can read it out as I see it though. So let me just do a quick test here. Alright, close enough for government work, as they say. So what I'm doing is, because the camera's in a weird position, just so I can get the angle of the screen, it's on the lower tier. And so I don't block the camera, so you can see it. I'm also using the keyboard above it as a keyboard stand, and I'm driving the synth with my Theoryboard just so I can lock in some scales and do more of a audio demo and less of a performance demo, because nobody cares about how well I play keyboard at this moment. You just want to hear some sounds, and you may not have heard the EX5 in action. So I'm just going to go through a bunch of random stuff. Haven't used it in so long, I don't have any favorites right now. Can't think of anything that really stands out. But it is a cool keyboard, and it looks nice, and it has a lot of capabilities, pretty much everything but FM. It has this FDSP functionality, which I think it has an FM component to it, but it's not proper 6-operator FM. I think it might be as much as 2-operator, but someone like Manny would know for sure. I'd have to read the manual again, but it has everything else. It has AN, so physical modeling. It has the AWM2 high quality samples like the Motif had in it. It has I'm drawing a blank here. AN. AN analog synth, VL physical modeling, a simple like a VL1 equivalent, or nice the VL. It's like a VL70 equivalent, the little portable VL that wasn't the full-on VL1 or VL7. A bunch of other cool effects, MIDI effects, things like that. It's a flagship at the time, missing basically traditional FM. So it kind of did everything else at the time. It's kind of pre-granular and all that stuff, but it's a pretty impressive thing. And so happy to see you guys there. Press head, I'll see your head. Paul, cool. Everyone, people are here. So let's go over here. I'm going to block the camera for a second as I walk in front of it. And I'm playing the Theoryboard on top of it, right there. Just so you can see, get a nice look at the keyboard itself. Maybe see the preset names if I zoom in a bit more. Let's try that. Also cockeyed. This supposedly clever swivel mount thing from Digital Juice is not as good as I hoped it would be. So let's change the exposure a tad. There you go. Now you can actually see the, well, now you can see the patch name a little bit because I've changed the exposure. This is annoying when this gets stuck like this in a weird spot. There's like an internal clutch on this arm, and it's not. It's kind of stripped now somehow. I think I've tweaked it too much. So I'm going to do my best to at least make the screen readable. So I don't have to call it every single preset. You guys can see that okay? Still a little bit fuzzy. So it's in the pad, Apollo, okay. It's pad Apollo, here we go. So I'm in the pad group right now. Pardon me while I block the camera. Got this stupid thing in the way here, hold on a second. Too many hazards in here to trip over. Okay. Apollo. What else we got here? Bottled out. bell sounds. Here we go. It's called Dream Sphere. Let's see what this is. This is a Japanese Hirajoshi scale in C, pentatonic. Let's do fifth rise. It's this one. Sorry, the computer's a little far away. I can see more people join, but I can't read it. In demo mode. It's called Freeze Pad. Glass choir. Luminosity. Samples in there, some grungy samples. So it's an older board, but still got great sounds on it. Some might be dated here and there, but I don't care. I like it. Oops, I hit the wrong button. Oops, that was a weird mistrigger. Hold on a second. My thing got, there we go. This one's called Mystery Pad. Heard some of those. This one's called Pray. That's a lot of the pad sounds. Let's see what else we got here. Strings, mellow strings, brass, organs, pianofortes. So the pianos aren't bad. Yeah, pianos from many, many years ago, but. Got Jazz Grand, excuse me, CP80. Stupid pun names, like there's a Rhodes patch was called Randy Rhodes, but you know he's a guitar player. It was kind of silly. Ring Mod EP. Releasers, More Rhodes, more time-based stuff. Now we're into organs. Let's go to this Jazz B3. Knobs in the front of it to kind of act like drawbars, although they're knobs. So it wasn't built at the time they added a bunch of drawbars to stuff or sliders to stuff. So it looks like you could fake it though, although there are only 6 knobs. But it's nice having 3 wheels. So pitch is way out here. Middle wheel gives you the lesting on this one. So, kind of nice. I'm not a big organ player, so I don't use those patches very much. But then you got pipe organs, which I'm all about. So. Decent. And probably the wheels do some stuff here, but I'm just going through this really quickly. It's this one. Only a few pipe organs on here that I can find. You got brass sounds. You got brass sections. Pop brass. Enough of that. Solo trumpet. The bends aren't bad, but it's not. If you play with this does have a VL in it, but it might not be dialed in quite right for that patch. This one called trumpet. There you go. There's some of the VL action. Overblown. So that's cool. Similar to the Korg Z1 on Prophecy. in there. And there's all kinds of editing on this. You can see that when I first turned on all the controls and stuff, or the buttons are on the camera. So it's, you can edit the crap out of this stuff if you want to. There's a Miles Davis patch. So here's a muted trumpet. Some nice VO character in there. What else we got here? So here's some of the this analog brass. This is probably from the AN. So quite a bit of stuff on here. There's more brass. Now we're into strings. Got a few sour notes there. Even when you're in a locked in scale, you can still fuck it up. Let's see. Bright string. Tremolo strings. It's okay, not great. Soft string. There's a pad called AN Layer. That's what they used. This is, oh, I know a little bit of German. Abend Stern, so evening star. nicey. Pulse string. What else we got here? Back to some of the other stuff I looked at earlier. There's a whole bunch more stuff on this guy, but I don't necessarily know how to get over the banks because I don't use it very much. That's most of the easy access stuff. You have to start digging into different layers. So it's kind of a nice mix of samples, physical modeling, analog, VA synthesis, and a few other goodies. There's some, that FDSP in there does some pretty clever tricks, but I don't remember off the top of my head which sounds actually use that. So, with that in mind, I'm going to come over here for a bit and have a seat and some water and see if anyone wants to jump on and chat for a bit, and I'll maybe go to another box. But I've been dying to play with that one for a while, so let's move this crap out of the way here so I can have a seat. Alrighty. What's going on in the chat? I haven't been watching it because I've been too busy and across the room, so I can't even see the damn chat. EX5s are cool. The funny story about this one. So I found a really good deal on one in LA. And like a lot of stuff in LA, the guys are gigging musicians. They take care of their gear. Most of the time it never leaves the studio. So they might be doing mostly studio stuff and occasional gigs. But every time they generally take care of it. A lot of stuff I bought from LA was in that condition. So it's not all beaten up, it's not smoky, it's not spilled on and dinged and all kinds of stuff. Some of these guys are true pros. They take care of their shit. So I found one in LA, and the guy's like, oh man, can you drive down? Because not only is shipping going to be expensive because it's heavy and big, but also he's had a lot of horror shows apparently shipping stuff to people or receiving stuff. And I've had a couple, but not that many. I got pretty lucky. So I said, no man, I can't. I just came back from an LA trip a few months before. I can't afford to take a whole day to drive down there and back, and the gas and everything else. So I'd rather just pay. It's actually cheaper to ship it to me to $200 than for me to drive down there and pick it up. Although I love going down there for other things, shows and Perfect Circuit, and my cousins are down there. So lots of reasons to go down to LA, but I just didn't have the time or didn't want to spend that money just to save some shipping. So he goes, all right, man. I said, just, do the best you can, ship, do whatever. So then he made the not so professional mistake of dropping off at FedEx office, paying for them to pack it and ship it. And if you guys know how FedEx and a lot of these other couriers handle things, it's bad enough if you pack it perfectly. It could still get messed up in handling because they're just brutes throwing shit around. They don't care if it's fragile on it and stuff. But he also had them pack it. And these guys don't know how to pack keyboards and how to pack, electronic gear. They're just, they're shipping monkeys. So they charge a lot of money for this. And they did a shitty job of packing it. So I was all excited to get to my house. And the box looked okay. It looked like it was dinged on one side, but not too bad considering it probably had padding in it. I said, oh, no big deal. It's got padding. But as I shifted the box, there were some plastic rattle noises. I'm like, oh, fuck. Somebody screwed up real bad on this thing. I wasn't sure if it was end cap or keys or whatever. Turns out it was a little bit of everything. So I get it inside, open the box, and the horror show. A bunch of white keys fall out that are broken. The end cap plastic comes falling out. So the edge of the device is all exposed. It still boots up. It still plays. Screen isn't damaged. Buttons are all functional. Everything's cool. It's just the end cap where it fell. The keys were either banged into something as it fell over, or just it got hit on two sides at once. And it was basically unusable. It needs a complete key bed replacement. You can't just swap out keys. And it's ugly. It's all broken up. And he said this thing was pristine. He kept it in great shape. And I believed him because it did look in great shape other than the damage. I mean, you could tell it was, the shell was in immaculate condition, and so was the screen. So I told him that. He just got pissed beyond belief. So he went down there and he yelled at the, because it's not much I can do about it as the receiver, unless I put a bunch of extra insurance on it. But as the shipper, he can go down there and raise holy hell because he doesn't want a bad review from me, even though it wasn't 100% his fault, but it kind of was, since he didn't pack it like he was claiming he was going to protect it. He went down there and screamed at the guys, and so I ended up filing a claim. Was it FedEx or UPS? Actually, it was UPS store. Sorry, it's UPS store. But same difference. They're both hard on stuff. UPS stores are franchises, so if somebody screws up badly enough, they could potentially lose their franchise because it makes the company look bad when you make a stink out of it. So he went down there and chewed this guy out. The guy got scared, but he didn't do much. So I filed the claim, got my claim information, also gave that to him, said go to him, tell him this is the claim. And because the claim, I tried to handle the claim myself briefly just to see if they would do that. No movement from them. They want pictures. They want me to ship it back. I said if I ship it back, it's going to be even less shape than it is now. And if I do plan on using this, because I'm stuck with it maybe, I don't want to have more damage on it, because I can at least use it as a sound module, as big as it is. So they said, well, send us a picture. I sent them pictures. They said, oh yeah, that's pretty messed up. So then they went back to the guy, and the guy apparently got really scared because didn't take much for him to give me, through the guy who was really nice, the shipper, a full refund, and didn't bother asking for the unit back because it was so damaged. Little did they know it still works. So if I did want to replace the keyboard or use it as a sound module at the least, I have a functioning unit. It's just a shame because it was a really nice unit. So I was all bummed out about that. But then I found one in Japan on eBay about a week or two later after I got my money back. Same deal, pristine, but it's got the Japanese power thingy, so you have to use a little Japanese power dongle thing to convert it from the. It's 60 hertz, but it's 100 volts instead of 110 or 120, and that makes a difference. So things can run hot and sometimes not run so well. So the guy sold it to me with a little power conditioner. Who makes the power? What's the what's the name of it? It's the Transformer, 2 words, and it's made by Kashimura. Kashimura makes these cool little things, and it's small. It looks just like a wall wart, but instead of having pins, it has a receptacle. You plug your device into that, and then it has a lead on the other side to go to your normal outlet. So fine, I'm running off that. No problem this whole time. You didn't have any problems with me with playing it, or it didn't sound weird because the power supply works great. And it's, again, in perfect condition. And the beauty of it is, even with all that and the shipping from Japan, it was, I think, $300 less. So not only did I get another perfect keyboard and received it perfectly, but I saved some money too. Just a bunch of hassle back and forth to get that. The funny thing is, it's one of the best packed things I've ever seen in my entire life. You've never seen a keyboard pack like this. It had several layers of bubble wrap. He even put bubble wrap under the keys, so when the pressure comes down on the box from mishandling, the keys don't move. They're cushioned. They barely move at all. So that this guy knew what he was doing. Really well packed, proper fitting box, not sloshing around inside with the extra padding. And on top of that, because he knows about how these idiots handle packages, he wrapped up the end caps of the end of the boxes with extra foam, so it looks like a giant dumbbell. So it could just topple all day long, and it's like cushioned, you know. And it was distorted. Oh, sorry. It was early on. It was sounded okay, but I guess some of the patches were loud. Thanks, Chris. Anyway, I hope you got an idea what the sounded like before it got crazy. But I can always do some more in a bit if you guys want to hear those again. But my early test with the stream before I kicked over to not hear myself repeating, sound levels were fine. So thanks for that. Anyway, so I saved money on this thing, and it's beautifully packed. I took pictures of it. It was so amazingly packed. I've never seen something packed so well. So this guy planned for a disaster. So in the end, I came out ahead because I had extra money. And again, I still have a functional synth that's ugly, in need of repair to be played as a synth, but to play it as a brain, it worked fine. So I technically have that. And then while I was waiting, somewhere in between, actually it wasn't just a couple weeks when I found this one in Japan. I think it was more like a month or two. In the meantime, I found a rack mount module, EX5R, that was also really cheap. And so I had that for a while before I actually got the proper keyboard that was working. So technically I have 3 EX5s, but one I don't use because it's all banged up, currently anyway. But if I did have a project where I needed a lot more voices for multi-timbral stuff and I wanted to be all EX5, I could stack them and get pretty crazy with that. So, yeah, good stuff. You wanna jump on the stream, Chris? Said anybody? There's no problem. I got the link pinned there. I'm just here taking a break. I'm gonna have some water. It's kind of warm in here today, and I was just happy to turn this sucker on and have some fun with it. But if it was distorted, I'll go back and play a couple random patches with the lower level. What else is going on out there? Again, I have missed the whole chat except for a couple little tidbits here and there. Oh, thanks, Inky. Enjoy that curry. Curry is good stuff. I had some yesterday, I think. Yeah. I had some Indian food yesterday. Very tasty. I was eating Japanese snacks last night watching the latest episode of Shogun, which is a lot of fun on Hulu. Great soundtrack too by Atticus Ross and some other contemporaries of his. No Trent Reznor, just Atticus Ross and some other guys. Has a bit of the old-timey ethnic vibe of Japan mixed with modern synths and ambient sounds and stuff. So it's interesting soundtrack on that. And it's fun too because half the show's in Japanese with subtitles because they're trying to be authentic to compared to the miniseries I saw in the 80s with Richard Chamberlain. What's up?
Hardy, hi. You alright?
Yeah. All right. Let me quickly, since I'm not playing right now and I don't care about the vocal quality, let me go ahead and turn on my noise gate. Put some of that on.
Yeah, that's better. Less hissy.
It's just when I do that, it fucks up the audio coming through, so I have to.
Oh, for your music, you mean? Yeah.
Any sound coming through is also getting tweaked, so unfortunately.
Bugger. Yeah. It was okay. It was just when you were doing heavy notes, it ended up being distorted on one channel. So you just
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I did turn it up briefly for the trumpet ones. The trumpet one seemed a bit low. Yeah. So then I noticed a couple of patches seemed louder in the room.
Yeah.
And so I did back off a bit, but probably not enough.
One of the challenges with a synthesizer is balancing all the presets to be a similar sort of volume, isn't it?
Yeah, I should have a limiter on this thing. Just when it goes to the stream, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, that would work, wouldn't it? Yeah.
There is an automatic thing in StreamYard to do that, but often, I don't know, it's weird sometimes. I should try that again. But right now I have it on fixed volume. But I could switch that back to dynamic.
Well, you know, there you go.
You never know. 'Cause sometimes if the sound is really weird and soft and then goes crazy, some of these automatic things, unless they're proper limiters, don't.
Yeah, they're a bit have a go, aren't they? Sometimes they don't work very well.
Yeah, so I just, rather than having to futz with that or realize that later on the whole thing I played was fucked up, I'd rather just have a little bit, you know,
Let me try and
maybe
get
a little
the
bit
chat
hummy,
back.
noisy, whatever.
All right, 3 dots in it. Pop the chat out. There you go.
Yeah, crackle the volume pod. This is an old synth. I mean, this is what, at least 15 years old, maybe 20.
Yeah, I had an SY77. It sounded very similar to an SY77.
It has a lot of those characters. It's just it doesn't have the FM. At least the
What?
6
No, it's
operator
just
FM.
AWM then, is it?
AWM, AN for the AN1 series.
Oh yeah.
It has a VL card in it from the VL series, so it's physical modeling. It has this thing called FDSP, which is a fancy version of DSP that allows you to do some trickery as well as some other kinds of cool sounds and stuff. And then it has one other thing, I think it's 5. I think that's why it's called EX5. It has 5
different voices.
different modules in it. But
So
no
it's a
proper
bit like,
FM.
it's a bit like
I think
a
the
forerunner
FDSP,
of the that thing that came out yesterday. What if it's called? The
yeah, kind of like that.
Astrolab thing.
I mean, this was
models,
considered a flagship for them. It was big and expensive and flashy. It has like double. It has like double MIDI cards in it, so you have like, you know, in out times 2. It has a decent sized screen like the SYs did. It has a good control surface. It's just mostly buttons and some knobs. There's no sliders.
Has it got 3 wheels?
Except for the volume. It has 3 wheels too. That's what I was messing with on the
yeah, that's the same
physical
as the
modeling trumpet stuff.
SY77 then.
Yeah, so they because VL1 also has 3 wheels, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
You need those
it's
extra
got
controls.
breath controller input on the back as well, hasn't it?
Probably that was one of
Yeah.
Yamaha's great things is unless you buy the little micro control center thingy that added it to anything with MIDI,
Yeah.
you had to have one of these with the built-in port to do that. So, or you could buy the little MIDI Solutions box. They have one that does the breath controller. So
Yeah, I've got a BRC too still from when I had a SY77.
Yeah, and even the, I mean, even the famous, whatchamacallit, CS01 had a breath input.
It did, actually. Yeah, I had one of them.
I don't think the SH5 did.
Right.
The little guitar-y thing.
I never got on with the CS1. Just like, it just, don't know, didn't vibe with me. But
In the right
probably didn't
hands,
know how
it
to run
sounds good, but it is limiting.
Yeah, it's quite a simple synth, isn't it? So, you know.
It's a simple thing, yeah. It's
very plastic.
To call it a CS is kind of funny because it's not really like a, you know, people think of the CS as the, not just the 80, but like the 15, the 30. There's some weird CSs in there with different architectures and sounds and stuff. And then the CS, what do you call it? The CS1X, CS2X were funny because they're obviously nothing like a CS, right? They were.
Yeah, I've got
sample
CS1.
based.
That's the blue one, isn't it? Yeah.
The blue one. They had a CS2. I think it was gray or a darker blue or something like that. It was a different color blue. There's a great video by Jexus on the CS2X. And I love the opening of the video because he's doing like action scene music. Like he edited a bunch of explosion movies from Eastern Europe movies. You know, those bizarre Eastern Europe movies with lots of low budgets. And he's like having exploding vehicles and he's doing all this thing on the CS2X. It's very funny.
Yeah, it's got some good sounds on it. Never really. It was weird. It's like a multi-part. It's got 12 parts to it, but most of them are GM parts. So you know, it depends what you want to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely usable for lots of things, but it's going to have, whether you like it or not, some kind of a dated quality to it. But sometimes dated.
Yeah, I don't use it anymore, so it's back in its box. But yeah,
Mine's in the corner because I got it cheap. It was just one of my local finds I got for like, I don't know, $100, $200, something like that. And it's like, oh, I just wanted one of those. Let's check that thing out.
the thing I
It's just
did like about it was it's really easy to change the MIDI channel on it. So if you're using it as a keyboard to control other synthesizers, it's like one button press and you're in the channel page. So it's
that's what's
really
great
easy.
about the Arturia stuff because like in the key steps and stuff, you can hold
Hold shift
there's
and then
the
press the
printing
key.
above the buttons,
Yeah,
and there's a MIDI button. You can hold that and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever channel you want.
yeah, yeah.
Very
Really
simple.
quick. Yeah. No menu.
Although they
no
made it complicated on the Pro models because there's so much more going on in the Pro. It only works on the key step and the key step 37. The key step Pro and beat step Pro, you have to go into some menu to do that shit, I think,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly. So I often have templates. I just don't mess with them because it's a pain to constantly edit the MIDI, and it's got that tiny ass screen, you know.
Yeah,
So you're like, is that the right? Does it say what I think it says? Yeah.
yeah. The same size of screen as a Electron samples.
Yeah,
Like
but they have
tiny.
something about those is they're very crisp. I don't really have a problem with the Electron stuff because it's bright and crisp, and they use really good displays on those.
Yeah.
So that's okay. And even the OP1, really clear, really easy to read, even though it's small. But yeah, the really tiny ones they used on the Korg Minilog XD stuff like that. Those are a little getting hard to read.
Yeah. Mm.
So
That's
you
the
one of
trouble
those
with.
Fresnel lenses from the movie Brazil, where they have the tiny monitors and the
Yeah,
Fresnel lens.
yeah, I remember them. Yeah. One of the TVs, didn't you? To have a pretend you have a bigger TV. But yeah, I never did buy one.
Basically, yeah. I mean, they're good for reading data, but not for watching the show.
No.
But yeah, so I've had my AN1X here for a long time since I got it. Basically, it's been sitting in the rack. I don't use it that much, but I do like it. I have Z1 over here, the AX80, which is a great Akai synth back when they actually made synths.
Yeah. I remember playing that in a music shop.
And as a mono out, which is hilarious, right? It's hot, futuristic looking fluorescent bar graph display,
And
big
mono.
alpha dial, all this cool shit on it, and a mono out.
Yep. Sounds
You know.
about right. Well, it's a bit like the Behringer RD8 and the Behringer. What's the other one?
Is that mono out?
9. They got mono outputs. It's
Oh,
like,
really? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
They've got individual outputs, but the like all together is the mono output. It's like, really?
Interesting.
Wow, yeah.
And then I have this crazy gem keyboard from it's actually an Arabic keyboard. So it has a European power supply, but it has a bunch of stuff in Arabic on it and has a really great selection of samples of like a tar and various other percussion, Middle Eastern percussion. And some of the built-in songs, the like backing tracks, are awesome because they're just right out of some kind of Middle Eastern movie or fantasy movie.
There's a few Yamaha PSRs and Casios that are made for the like Asian market. So they have like they have a piano and blah blah blah. Then there's like 200 world instruments in it. Sounds
exactly.
really cool.
But the quality is better than I thought because it looks like a crappy home keyboard that's a little oversized.
Yeah.
But it's way better than it looks, and it has this funny ball. It's basically like the rolling joystick where it's like pitch bend mod on one unit, but it's actually a ball, which is kind of funny. And it also has a microtonal keyboard on it. So kind of like the little micro keyboard you have depicted on some small groove boxes and stuff. You use that to dial in your microtonal stuff. So on the fly, you can change what scale you're doing, which is kind of unique. I haven't seen that in a lot of stuff. So that's one of the main reasons I got it. It had great percussion on it, and the microtonal stuff is very cool. But because at the time I couldn't find a decent sized, kind of lightweight 220 to 120 converter, or 110 converter, I had to buy this kind of this chunky one at Fry's Electronics. It's like this metal box that converts it for me. So it's a little clunky to set up. But once you get it plugged in, doesn't matter. It's a lot of fun.
You know your massive synth cave of goodies. Do you have many groove boxes, or is it mainly synthesizers?
This whole table over here is groove boxes stacked with a rack on the table itself. So I have way too many groove boxes as well. But they I love them. I mean, I have a bunch of the Electribes, the Emu command stations, which is basically the groove box version of the Proteus 2500.
All right, cool.
With all the ROM chips and stuff, some great sounds on there too. Their entire ROM set's done by Rob Poppin. You know Rob Poppin, he's the guy who made Blue and Indigo and Indigo Blue, Predator, all these great VSTs. Predator. He has so many of them out there. He's like a real big, I guess he's a big time dance guy. I don't know him that well. In fact, Henrik is trying to get him on the show, one of his JX3D shows, because he's done some sounds for him. He programmed some sounds for one of those VSTs for him. Cool. And he knows some of the other programmers who did stuff with it. He's trying to get Rob to join, which has been kind of cool, actually. But Emu basically hired him to do 2 entire sound banks based on these little ROMs for the Proteus series, the 2000, which is also 2500 command station, etc. And because those are all basically sample based, if you don't know that. They either had the earlier models had it baked in there, and you could sit there and make your own presets based on the samples that are in there, or you could buy the ROM chips, which also have a combination. They look like 72-pin Sims, basically.
Yeah.
And you basically buy the one you want, like the B3 organ. You buy. There's one that was cool that had right around the time Emu and Sonic were merging. So Sonic had the Physmo and all this like Transwave stuff. There were a couple ROMs that had Transwaves sampled on there. So you could start tweaking with Transwaves without actually owning one of the fancy Transwave synths, like a TS10 or Physmo or whatever. You could have it in your command station, buying the right kind of ROM. And it's, of course, Longhurst worked with them for a while, so he has the entire collection. Over time, I got almost all the ROMs. I don't have a few because they just got crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Most people discovered, there are more things to get. The market went from like, they're like $200 to like, sometimes $500 per ROM or more.
Yeah, they made
some
money
guys
back
cloning
on
them now too.
ROMs.
They're actually people recreating them, which is nice too. So they're cheap.
My cough's crap today.
So it's a cool system considering they're all sample based. You wouldn't know it how versatile they are because if you heard Longhurst talk about it, I brought up on a couple shows here and there, but Longhurst talked about it on the ProSynth Network where they had software modular patch cables inside the brain of the Proteus. But with that little screen, it's a pretty good size screen, but it's kind of hard to visualize soft patch cables, right?
Sounds a lot fun.
But then this company, this guy made this app called ProDatum, which is a free editor, I think Mac and PC, for all the Proteus stuff, and you can totally visualize the entire modular patch cable thing. So just like you do on a soft modular you have these days on your screen, you can actually see what you're doing visually with the modular patch cables, which is kind of clever. So I'm not using this microphone.
I got a rubbish cough today, so I keep muting myself.
It happens. Yeah, I had a nasty. I picked up something nasty from. Actually, it's from NAM. Actually, from the tail of NAM. I got Namthrax. It wasn't COVID. It was just some kind of stupid flu. And I went to basically 3 NAMs in a row now. Even during peak of COVID, didn't get sick. And then this last one gave me this awful flu that wasn't horrible. I didn't really have much of a sore throat or any of that kind of stuff. But it's just this lingering stuff in the chest. phlegm for weeks and stuff. It's like, just go away. You know, finally went away.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? But what can you do?
Yeah.
So what did you reckon to that thing yesterday? That Arteria thing?
I caught it on the replay because I was busy during that, but I saw maybe 20, 30 minutes of the show so far. And so I made a joke on Facebook about, hey, it's the new washer dryer combo thing.
Well, yeah, it looks like a washing machine, doesn't it?
Those visual dials they have on new washing machines that are high tech.
Yeah.
And the buttons light up just like a washing machine.
It probably is, you know. It probably is. They probably sourced it from Indesit or something.
Some guy was probably out and he goes, hey, that's a great idea for an interface. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah.
You know, some guy in France was having fun with that. But so I mean, but that said, it's not a terrible design. It's cool, but it makes a pretty small screen.
It's a 320 by 240 screen on it.
Yeah. So it's
a crisp one, but it's small.
It's crisp, yeah. And I understand it's, you know, if you're a stage guy, you're going to have all your presets set up. You don't really care so much about what it says because you're too busy playing and getting ready for the next thing to load. And if you're smart, like guys like Jordan Rudess used to do on the Kurzweil 2600, he mapped out a bunch of MIDI events in there. So as the song would play on his rig of stuff,
you just get auto patch.
It would just receive auto patch change, auto this, auto that. You don't think about it. You just do it. So I mean, yeah, it's cool if you can interact with it completely as a gigging box. And of course, it sounds good, right?
Yeah.
I know people bitch about, oh, it's just fucking software in a box. I'm like, what is the software in a box now? The montage is software in a box.
Yeah.
Right? You paid tons of $5,000 for something that's like software in a box. Just like a Hartman Neuron was. Just like A1X is software in a box. You know? So that argument is annoying now because so much stuff is software in a box. Who cares? Right? My Access Virus is awesome, but it's software in a box.
True.
So I don't care about that so much, except for the fact that if it's linked to the internet somehow, or tied to an app, like an iOS app that was required for it, or a PC app, Mac app, whatever, that will eventually stop working without some kind of emulation or
yeah. I think
that
there's a phone editor for it, but I think what you edit on the phone, you can actually edit on the machine itself. It's just easier on the phone. So when the phone app dies in like 3 or 4 years' time, you're just back to using the actual keyboard again, aren't you? So you're not like doomed. You know, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, so here's an example: the DeepMind 12, which I have, but I haven't used it since I got it. I mean, I used it quite a bit the first couple of weeks I got it. It's like, this thing's really cool. It's got great sounds on it, great effects. Build quality is okay, but you know, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to beat it up. But there's a DeepMind editor came out on an iPad. Well, you know iPad. Guess what happened with iPad? Someone didn't update the fucking editor. So at one point, it didn't work anymore in iOS.
Yep.
So if you're tied to it and you want to use it and keep using it, there was a slump where they had to reprogram it to work with the latest iOS. So one of these days, that's not going to work anymore. And you have to bake an iPad and don't update it, which I do for stuff already. I'm used to that ecosystem. But the average person isn't going to do that. So you buy a DeepMind thinking, I've got this great editor, and eventually it's not going to work anymore. And that's the best editor for it. They even made a PC one for it, or Mac one for it. It was just iOS.
Yeah. Well, at least the DeepMind's got actual controls on it and a decent.
It does, but I mean, the cool deep shit, you need some kind of editor. There's some deep stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Fizmo. The guy came out with an app called Fauxmo, Fauxmo. And it's awesome. It totally unlocks the Fizmo unlike ever before. Even some stuff you really could not get to from the panel. And it allows you to really tweak shit and understand what you're doing. So I love editors. The Sound Tower editors I've been using for decades. For the 01W Korg. Dave Smith had a great relationship with them, making Evolver, Polyevolver editors, the Mofo editor, the Tetra editor, even had iOS, Mac, and Windows all at the same time. So
it's like when I was looking for a wind synthesizer, I was looking for the Roland one, the Yamaha one, and the Akai one. And the Roland one, you can edit really basic things on the actual unit itself, on the actual WinSynth itself, to really sort of day-to-day use, you probably want to use the phone app. And then if you actually want to make a sound,
Yeah.
as in from scratch, you need to spend 200 quid on the Zencore thing to make it work. So I thought,
Yeah.
no, it's already expensive, and then in
And
3
it's
years' time,
cumbersome.
the phone app will die on it,
Yeah, exactly.
and then I need to go and get Zencore. And will Zencore still work? That's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not spending 800 quid on a WinSynth that will become redundant in like 5 years' time. So I didn't
Well,
buy
that's
it.
why I like the Silphio, because it doesn't have, as far as I know, it still doesn't have any editor for the computer. It's a standalone thing. It's got a small ass screen on it, but it has to be for this unit size.
Well,
But
the
all the
Akai,
shit is
you can
built in.
edit
It's
everything
no,
on the Akai.
yeah,
And on the Yamaha, you can edit some of it, and then again, that's got a phone app again. So I
yeah.
went, nah, because I want to buy stuff a bit like you. I want to keep it. I don't want to have it for 2 years and then flog it. If I'm going to buy it, I'm buying it. So
Just bake one of your devices, and don't ever
well,
update it.
yeah,
At some
but
point,
then, but yeah, you can bake it, and then your phone dies. Then what do you do? You fuck.
it's true. Let's try. I mean, I was
You know?
when my screen, out of the blue, my iPad Pro screen died a while back. Treated it like gold. It was beautiful. It's the first iPad Pro I bought. And one day it looked like it was broken. Well, turns out the backlight had gone out.
Right.
And without a backlight on an iPad, it's pretty much, I mean, you can't, it's not like an old Newton where you can still use it with no backlight.
Yeah, it's dead.
It's dead. It's black.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
see shit. So I went in there, thought it was, oh no, what am I going to do? Oh, well, we can do a screen replacement for like $600. I said,
Fucking hell.
huh? And I know you can do it yourself, but I was worried about doing something stupid, because when they upgrade it, or if you upgrade yourself, there's a chance you may trigger some kind of a power setting in there, or you need to force it, and then you lose what's on there. You got to reload all your apps. Well, guess what happens if the apps are no longer in the store? Since Apple blocked you from backing up all your apps like you used to be able to do, if they're no longer in the store, those apps are all gone forever. So I was bummed, because I had those Wolfgang Palm apps on that thing.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, I was able to there's a weird thing with iOS in the app store. Sometimes the apps are technically still there, but if you didn't buy them, you'll never be able to download them again. So if you go through your purchase history, you can sometimes force it, and that's how I got my Tenorion apps back on a recent device that I thought I lost them forever, because they also disappeared from the store. But they also don't work in the latest rev of the thing, because I tried it on my iPhone, which is newer than my iPad, and the apps are loaded, but they crash.
The way I look at apps on phones and tablets is, you don't actually buy them, you rent them, and if they decide to end the rental, then that's the end. That's tough. I never look at them that they're going to last
unless you
forever.
don't upgrade and you take care of stuff, it will eventually break, like you said. That's inevitable. But you can have a good 5-6 years or more of excellent use of these tools. So I'm okay with that. I know it's a tenuous thing, but
It's not ideal, is it?
it's okay with that. But some of the stuff, doesn't work anymore. But what's funny, I saw Robbie mention the DeepMind VR thing, which didn't take off because nobody wants to use that. Even the Apple Vision Pro has some weird ass VR stuff on it that was supposedly usable for music. Some guy got Tenorion app working in the Apple Vision Pro, even though it's technically not supposed to work because it doesn't work on the latest OS on my phone. But there's some weird thing about Apple Vision Pro that it allowed him to get the Tenorion app to work on there. So he has a floating Tenorion in his VR thing. He can touch the buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty funny. But it's, it's just all that technology. It's fun, but it is ephemeral, unfortunately. You just can't do much about that. Even Mac and Windows is like that. But
well, yeah,
keeping old computers around and
my
SEM
plugin stopped working on Logic.
Yeah,
I got a Theory 7 that needs to be updated. I can't be bothered because I don't use Logic, so I can't be bothered with it. But yeah, it's just how it goes, isn't it? You upgrade your operating system, and then a load of fucking applications don't work no more.
The good news is VMs are very advanced these days. We don't use them where I've been working off and on for years with servers that you depend on day after day after day. but they even work well with music apps. I've got some stuff to run on a VM perfectly fine, and it wasn't even on the right machine. It was a virtual machine of Windows running on a Mac playing Windows music apps, and it worked great.
Crazy.
So as long as your horsepower is there, VMs is a great way to future-proof stuff.
It is, but it ain't for everybody. It's for the nerds.
Why
Like,
it's it's the barrier to entry is, you got your propeller head and your nerd glasses, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. It's complicated technology. They did make it easy when I first started using VMware Fusion on the Mac, which is no longer supported, but I still have it on one of my old Macs. And VMware website had a wizard, and you could actually have it rip your computer to the web and drop it down as a VM like a wizard, and it was so easy to use. And I don't know if they can do that anymore. It's probably still too nerdy for most people, but that specific wizard I used, you didn't have to be an IT nerd. I was shocked how easy it was to make, and I still have that image to this day. It has my my exact copy of my work computer from Nikon from way back when, and all the apps still work. It's great. So, and I can run a Mac, I can run a PC, I can run anywhere I want. Linux, anywhere I can get a VM to run, I got it. So it's really a future-proof technology. It's a shame that's not it's not non-nerd proof.
Wow, yeah, that's why.
But that's unfortunate. You just get a friend who knows how to do it. He can help you. And once you do disk imaging with that stuff, it's a no-brainer. Once you learn how to do some of the basic stuff of a machine that's set up, it's now a transportable file. You can go anywhere.
Did you ever sort out a new job, by the way?
I got some leads that are kind of iffy right now, but I it's looking pretty good for the next month or so. I've got a bunch of stuff in the irons in the fire.
Okay, cool.
So we'll see, because it's getting kind of rough. It's you don't want to be. I know you guys have a pretty good system there for. They still call it the dole. I can't remember if they still call it that or not. But
yeah.
We have a similar thing here called EDD, but it only lasts for a year maximum. Usually now it's more like 6 months because too many people are on it with all the mass layoffs, not just for my company, but other companies. EDD is much shorter than it was. I had to use it like 10 years ago for about 6-7 months or something like that. But now it's, I think it's literally 6 months now.
What happens after 6 months then? That's it.
You get nothing unless you extend it and try to beg and plead and all that kind of stuff. So I've been living off my savings for a while. It's not fun.
I'm
super stingy, not buying shit. And that's why I haven't really bought anything lately. I think the last thing I bought was a fucking kalimba that was on sale on Amazon for like $30. It's normally like
you get a bit more. You pause a lot more on buying stuff, don't you? I do.
Oh, totally. Because when I was working full steam ahead, I bought all this crazy shit for decades. It's just going crazy because hey, the money is endless, and it's I had a decent savings and everything was fine, and then you quickly learn, oh shit, it's going faster than I expected, and that's being a cheap bastard. So you definitely have to.
When I look at music stuff at the minute, I go, can I make a book out of it as well to get some money back for it? You know what I mean? And if I can do that, then I'll probably go and buy it. So that's how I look at music kit at the minute. And not that I really need anything, but if I'm going to get anything, if I can do a book with it as well, then I'll get some of that money back. So it's a bit like an investment, and you actually need to learn the thing you're about to buy as well. So so you really have a good think about buying stuff rather than just being, like you say, it's a whim.
And and it's fine because I being the gear maniac that I am, I still would keep buying shit even if I'm not using it that much, just because it's just fun. And it's not like the one with the most toys wins thing. I just like different technology. The whole reason I got so much stuff to begin with is shit was really cheap on eBay.
Brain. You got a curious brain. You wanna investigate.
Well, and also it was all the stuff I couldn't afford when I was younger, drooling over in the music stores. Now I can afford it, and I still like it. It's not that old to me.
Yeah.
And I also wanted a good example of all the technologies at the time. I wanted a good FM. I wanted a good sampler. I wanted a good wavetable. I wanted a good, whatever. And then hybrids of that, and then flavors of that. So there's a lot of overlap now. But initially there wasn't. I had like physical modeling. I got this. I got that. And pretty soon I'm like, that's pretty cool. Even though I already have some of those technologies, it does sound different, and there's like some of the presets on there that I can monkey around with instead of programming from scratch. And then I got more of the analog stuff over time too, which is no presets, right? Unless it's VA or something. But but it was just fleshing out the abilities to try different things. Whether or not I had time to sound design or not, I still was drawn to the different things. And then after a while, it's just like, well, that's stupidly cheap. I have to buy that. And that's kind of how it went. But I still, the oldest thing I have is still only a Moog Rogue. I don't have anything older because everything older is either crazy expensive or crazy expensive to fix.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I would have bought it in the '80s if I were smart, paying more attention like Richard Devine and some other famous guys did.
Yeah, but it'd also be dead now, wouldn't it? So
No, but I mean, they're combing the pawn shops for mini Moogs, ARP2600s, and like hundreds of dollars for stuff that's still like $3,000-$4,000 now.
Well, we have Behringer
digital
now.
slump. When the digital stuff came out, all the analog stuff went.
Yeah, but we have Behringer now. You can get the shit back, and you get a warranty, and it's cheap.
It's cheap, and it's well built enough to have fun with for now. But as Kent and many other people have said, it's not built well enough for longevity like a mini Moog.
I don't know. I mean, the Roland TB303 wasn't built to last, but it has. And
yeah, but if you look at some of the original ones, they're fucking trashed. People don't take care of those things at all. But I don't know. It's. I'm not such a purist that I have to have the original of everything. Obviously, I can't afford the original of a lot of stuff. Like a Fairlight would be fun, but I definitely don't have room for a Fairlight. And the workflow is okay. It's not my favorite
Fairlight
workflow.
on your fucking phone. What's the point?
Yeah, and you have it on the iPad, which is close enough for what I would do with it.
Scratches that.
But I can see the appeal of having the original. It is cool, and it's a piece of history. And
it looks great to the back of a webcam, doesn't it? So if that's your bag, then yeah.
So it's cool. I totally get the appeal of all that stuff, or CS80 or whatever. It's just like, it's big, it's chunky, it's expensive to fix.
Yeah, and it'll die.
I already have a bunch of digital stuff from early '80s that's already dead. I have to get fixed at some point. So I might be calling Allison at some point because I asked her, a while back, and she said if she had space, she could fix it, but she's busy. And I don't have the money to fix that anyway, so what the hell? I'll just let it sit. But I have a bunch of stuff in the corner. 2 DW8000s that are toast. A couple other things that are just not working well, and they were just sitting there perfectly fine. Turn on one day, great. Next day,
That's like my CS1X. That was great. Turned it on one day, and a couple of keys didn't work. I not even touched it. It's like, really? Oh, okay.
And that could be simple as the little contacts. Replacing the contacts into the keys.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's still a fair amount of labor to get them apart.
Can't be bothered. Just put it in the box. It's like
I was so happy. My first real eBay purchase of gear was a K1000 Kurzweil. I just drooled over them in stores for years. They were like $3,000, which is still a hell of a lot cheaper than the almost 16 grand of the K250 maxed out. But I just love the sounds. And Paul Schaefer used it every night at Letterman, so you get to hear how good it was. He's a guy who could really play, making it shine. But I wanted to get the 1000, and finally found a really cheap one on eBay. This one, and it came with a case and everything. So it got to me.
I've got a Korg DDD1, and that the battery's gone on that. So if you can program a pattern on it, it all works great. You switch it off, switch it on again. It's got no patterns in it whatsoever.
But it didn't leak, right?
No. Well, I tried taking the back off, and I went like, if I go any further than this, all I'm going to do is kill it. So just put the back on. So like, you know what? I'll just sample the fucking thing, and we're done. So I sampled it.
So the K1000 I turned on, was excited. Oh, those are some great patches. I love these patches. There's a really good one called Ligeti, which has the creepy Ligeti sound you get like Shining, right? And it has some cool like Klaus Schultz patches in there, and some other kind of fun things, as well as the choirs and the pianos and stuff. So I played it for a brief. Okay, cool, great. Put it away. And then one day really tried to use it and realized, holy shit, there are several keys that are dead on this thing. I didn't think about the old test it thoroughly when you buy it because you have a 30-day window.
Yeah.
I just was like, it works, cool, go whatever. That was a hard lesson to learn because it was cheap for the time. It was maybe $500, something like that. With a case, which is pretty cheap. It's a nice case, actually. But then by the time I realized that, I missed my window, a 30-day window. And I learned very quickly to test everything thoroughly when you get it because I was screwed. From eBay's point of view, I can do nothing about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, you had your chance and you didn't do it.
I had my chance, I didn't do it. So I contacted Kurzweil, which was Young Chang at the time, because they had the K2000 out and some other stuff. And I was like, hey, do you have anyone there who knows how to repair a K1000? Because whatever I could find online, there's not much information. The service manual is not great. And finally, they transferred me to some old dude who had been there from the early days. I was like, oh, yeah, you need these special contact switches. Those little rubbery pad,
pad
things.
Yeah.
And the reason you have this is you have several keys in little batches because a whole series of those went out. And it's a simple matter to take it apart, pull out every key, and then pull out those pads, and you can buy a replacement set. And it was like, I don't know, $50 or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's it. So I started to take the thing apart without a manual because now people do like YouTube videos and visual manuals on web pages to show you how to do all this shit. Like I do with my O1W when I had a problem. But this one didn't. So I'm slowly, carefully paying attention to what I'm doing, taking them apart. Millions of screws out of that thing. And then I got distracted on some other project and then went back to it. I go, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with this thing. It's all in pieces. I didn't even order the pads yet. I think I'm just going to, maybe I could hack the keyboard off and make it a module. But it's a big ass module because it's a 76 key thing. And it's this older motherboard, so it's this giant motherboard. Because I opened it up and I go, oh shit, I can't even hack the keys off. It's a stupidly large module now. So I basically kind of screwed it back together with a bag of parts and was going to eventually do something. And then I had to move because my landlord was being a dick, so I had to move somewhere else. And I didn't have time to really do much with it. I go, you know what, I'll find another one. I left it outside for some local person to just steal. And they did. And eventually found a K1200 rack mount, which has most of the same sounds in it, but the ROM is slightly different. And some of the key sounds I really liked were not in there. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then eventually I found the proper keyboard at my local favorite store years later. So I have a couple of the modules, the PX series, PX1000, and a few other of their expander modules for the old series. And the 1200 is slightly newer than that. And then I have the 1000. So I eventually got, I think the keyboard even cheaper. I think I got it for $200-300 fully functional. So yeah, if you wait long enough, some of that stuff will come around. But certain things will not. I mean, good luck finding a goddamn polyevolver rack mount expander. Nobody sells them. They're super, super rare. If they even show up, they're like $2,500, $3,000, $4,000. When the keyboard at the time was only about 2,000 used. So nobody's selling them. They're like hoarding them because they didn't make that many, and they're awesome. They give you all that extra polyphony. Bring it up to 8 voice if you want. And or actually, one guy even makes 12. I think he brought it up to 12 voice. But yeah, it's stuff like that. It comes and goes, and then you wait 4 or 5 years. Oh, finally I found it, but it's too expensive.
So we live in interesting times. We've got looking back at old samplers. Like, to me, I don't care because it's a sample. So a new sample can be an old sampler, really. Yeah. And then when you look at old analog kit, you get such good emulations of old analog kit now. You don't actually need the new. You don't need the old one. You can have the emulation is like good enough for most things. The only thing you're lacking is the interaction of how the old one was done. So if you get a good controller or good surface that controls it or good interaction, then you don't need the old shit. You can just get the new shit that sounds like the old shit.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, for the most part, I don't get too bent out of shape by these recreations and stuff like that. I mean, they may look stupid, or they may be missing certain features that you wish you had, but if they give you at least the flavor of it, and they're usable, and what the hell, right? It's not a big deal. But
Yeah, you just need the it just needs to be good enough to be an Elvis impersonator. Because yeah, in a way, that's what you're after, isn't it? You're after a facsimile of the thing that used to be around, and if it's good enough, the crowd are pleased to hear it, then you're done. That's
yeah,
fine, unless you're a complete nerd. You know what I mean? But the general public don't give a fuck. They just want to hear the track. The track's either good or it ain't good. So
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I've heard plenty of stuff done with pretty inferior gear. If you get technical about it, they're perfectly fine.
I saw someone had it was Gears for Music. They had this home keyboard. It was a 40 quid home keyboard, and it was I don't know. It was Blue Monday Day. It was a date that
Oh, okay.
when New Order released Blue Monday, and they did
Yeah,
Blue Monday on this 40 quid home keyboard. Sounded nice. Thought, okay,
yeah.
it's fine. It sounded pretty fucking good. And it's a 40 quid. I mean, he didn't record it on the keyboard. He played everything and sampled it into Ableton, but it sounded great.
That's cool.
It was good enough. You could definitely tell it had all the had a decent enough kick drum on it. They had even had the choir type sound on it. That's on a 40 quid home keyboard.
I mean, look at guys like Look Mom No Computer, right? He does some totally whacked out mad scientist kind of stuff, but also does some very musical stuff with some pretty crazy shit.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just a lot of it just comes down to talent and creativity. It doesn't have to be the cream of the crop stuff, or even the best audio path. So
yeah, talking of audio paths, I saw a video yesterday. The teenage engineering KO2 thing,
yeah,
the big calculator looking thing. It's got an inbuilt microphone in it, and this guy got his phone camera, carrying his phone camera around in one hand, and then propped his KO2 up next to all these different world instruments, and just whacked them and recorded it in via the microphone on the KO2 itself. That made a fucking track and sounded brilliant.
yeah,
And that's on a really shit microphone.
yeah.
It's just and you're on a limited sampler, so you could go and go, oh, I need to have this, and I've got to have that, and I must have this, and I'm going to sell my house to buy this, or you could just spend fuck all and make some good music.
Well, it's like the original SP404 back when it was compact flash. I have that one. And
Yeah,
it had a crappy little mic. It had some decent effects, most of the same that's in the new one, but some other ones. And it didn't have velocity pads, although they did light up, so at least you know what thing was looping if you have a continuous plate pad. So no pressure on the pads, no velocity on the pads, and pretty shitty quantizing. So I heard really good stuff come out of that thing for people who know what they were doing. Because if you don't play well and you rely on the quantizing, it wasn't so great at that, and the editing is a nightmare.
yeah,
And if you try to do some other tricks about bouncing things with effects on them, the device is not smart enough to truncate and free up memory. You've just doubled your polyphony usage, so now your polyphony is even shorter when all you did was an edit.
yeah.
I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? It was just a really primitive box that looked pretty cool and was pretty functional, but you had to live with all these weird issues with it. And I've heard great stuff with it. I use it mostly as a sound effect box, or for some of the hardware jams as an accessory instrument, or sample fire off thing for some stuff I've done in the past. So it suited what I was doing with it, but I would never try to make an entire track on the original.
A lot of fairground rides use the SP404.
Oh, I believe it.
It's
great. I mean, I bought it for Halloween sound effects. That's my original use.
Yeah.
It's battery powered, portable speaker. And I was going to hide in my brother's bushes to scare the kids, and it was great because they totally had this great like music from the Resident Evil game, very creepy strings, some really great screams and some like monster noises and other crickets and bells and bell towers and all kinds of other stuff. Wind blowing to scare the shit out of the kids. And it sounded great. But then one year my brother wanted to go trick-or-treating in someone else's neighborhood. So I'm like, great. And I got this, it's battery powered and I got a speaker. So I was like walking behind the kids and then darting behind bushes and playing sounds on the street to freak out everybody. It was fun. It was a portable unit.
Yeah. Nifty. There's some good kit out there.
Yeah. And the new one is obviously really good. I'll eventually get the new one. I do like the new one. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, I've got a new one. I've got the upgrade.
I've seen good stuff from people on it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. The only downside I can say that the current SP404 is there are so many fucking shortcuts. I need to write them down.
Oh yeah.
I can't hold them in my head.
Well, I mean, look what you have. You have only so many buttons and stuff. They have to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's nice that they add all these features. It's like I just can't because I'm not constantly using the SP404 every day. Yeah. I'm not going to remember them, so I need to write them down.
This is why the Korg SQ64 is so powerful, but also maddening because it has also the shortcuts and shit on there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, there's too much to write down. You need a little chart while you're using it, so you can do this.
Yeah, if you're doing it every day, you'll get muscle memory. But if it's the occasional use sort of thing, you're not going to remember it, are you?
Yeah. If you're doing live mixdowns and stuff, you got to have, you got to know what you're doing precisely with that thing.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge, but it's fun too. When you get it to work, it's great.
Yeah. Well, you find you'll gravitate to certain bits of kit that you have enough brain about them, so you know how like when you're doing your hardware jams, you have the OPZ and you have the Machine Plus because you know you'll be okay because you know enough about both of them that you're not going to fuck up. Whereas if you get something they haven't used for ages, you go like, how do I turn it on again? I mean, it's
in fact, after 2 weeks of the original SP404, I had several little 3x5 cards with little cheat sheet notes on there.
Yeah, cheat notes.
And it was gold. I mean, I could just go, I need to do something with that. Oh, I already made notes for that, and I'm done. Instead of it's a manual. Rolling manual. Yeah. So you're looking through the manual, like, oh shit.
Well, the problem with a manual is you didn't write it, so you have to figure out, where did they put what you're looking for,
and you have to look at 5 spots for the workflow that you need. I go to here and go back to this section and then back to this section.
Yeah, I need to do a cheat sheet for myself for the SP404.
They really work. I haven't done any for my recent stuff, but I used to do it for everything I was using on a regular basis because I just couldn't be bothered with the fucking manual.
Well, the ideal thing is to learn it once and then write it down. Then you've learned it. You're done.
But see, Electron, you forget instantly. It's like it's magic. It just leaves your head, and you got to learn it all over again if you put it away for like a couple months. And so when you're in the workflow and you got it all figured out, it's genius stuff because it's so quick and so powerful. But I don't know how to use any of my Electron stuff now because I haven't used it for a few months. I have to go back.
Yeah, Electron
watch a few videos, make some cheat sheets because I never made the cheat sheets for it.
Yeah, Electron stuff looks like hard work to me.
But it's so awesome.
It's very good, but it looks hard work.
This is why like Jim Glue and those guys love it because it gives you so much on the fly. That's
I can't argue because I've heard some really good stuff from it, but I couldn't buy into the idea. I don't think.
When I saw Cenk, the guy who used to work for them, Mr. Dataline, he's so fucking good on that stuff.
He must have sold loads of them by his videos.
Yeah, his videos are awesome. I used them to make me want to buy the analog keys, which is analog 4 on a keyboard, and it's a great synth. Now it's weird because the note sharing and stuff, you have to figure that shit out. Like, I only have 4 monophonic parts. Yet I'm trying to do chords, so you got to do note sharing. So once you figure that out, it's okay. But it's such a brilliant device because it has a MIDI channel to put conditional trigs on the MIDI, and an FX channel to put conditional trigs on the effects. So you get this per step effect things that are just blow your mind, right?
Oh well,
Teenage Engineering stole the same idea for the OP1 OPC, so it's very, very clever.
I'll tell you what, Wagyu, next time you do a jam for hardware jams, Do it on the Electron stuff. Let's see what you got. Do it. See what he says.
Yeah, Electron stuff's not like rocket science, but the workflow is, the paradigm is such that if you don't use it on a regular basis, after you've kind of figured it out, it just goes in and out. I don't use it enough to remember it. And this is a common thing. It's, if you ask most people like Electron, that's one of their big complaints, is that for most people, it doesn't retain unless you live in it constantly. I have plenty of other gear I can go back to because the panel's so easy, or the workflow is more generic than some other stuff that you can just dive right in anytime.
Wagyu, you've got the biggest brain on the planet, mate. I'm sure you'll be able to cope with any challenge.
He is the internet, you know that, right?
You are the
so
internet,
he does.
Yeah.
It's like Lawnmower Man. I am God.
We believe in you.
And
you can do it, man.
Phones ring around the entire world, you know.
I'm sure you'll be fine, Wagyu.
But it's a common complaint. It's not like 5 or 6 people saying this. It's a very common complaint.
Oh, look, he won't commit. He says, I'll be choosing the hardware that is based on the challenge.
Well, that's smart. You have to do that.
Well, yeah, true.
I just do the Machina Plus because it's dirt simple for me now, and I have so much variety with contact libraries, samples I put in myself, synths I already like on there. The last one I used Raum a bunch. And Raum, Kent could attest it to. Raum's an awesome reverb. Very high quality reverb. So I put Raum on a bunch of the layers because it's CPU heavy, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. Game on.
But also I like the microcosm too, because it's controllable to a point, but also kind of magic stuff comes out of nowhere. Like, how the fuck?
Oh, that's a reverb as well, is it?
It's an everything. It's a delay, reverb, granulator, filter. You know, that's why some people buy it and sell it, because it's too, for the basic use they use for it, it's uncontrollable. They want to have a lot more control over everything, which is why they have that new device they came up with, the 4 effects in different channels.
Oh yeah, seen that. Yeah,
where it's more logical, right? But you can do some of that to a certain extent once you understand what all the knobs are doing per algorithm. But that's the thing, you have, like anything else, you got to take the time to, in this mode, this works better for this. That's where your cheat sheets come in, right? Oh, in this algorithm, I'm going to do this. And so a lot of people just don't want to spend the time on it. I get it.
Mm.
That's why Jim Blue had one for about a month and he sold it. But, you know, you do something simple like a voice, or the thing I did on the stream with the wine glass, or a kalimba. It's gold. I mean, it's kind of a cheat. It's so awesome with some of the stuff you can do with it, because it's doing modulations, it's doing reverb tricks, it's doing weird delays, granular stuff, which would normally take several pedals or several plugins to do that, which is why it's worth the money. It's hand built. You know, the sticker at the bottom has a handwritten number on it, built to order. You don't just have gobs of them to sell. It's a boutique effect.
I'll still hover over that EP2, that KO2, sorry, about getting that. I don't know.
It's nice. Well, the clever thing about that is they added all the expression capabilities, because those pads are pressure sensitive.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
It looks, to me, it just looks like a load of fun.
So, it is. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I played with it at NAMM for a few minutes, not knowing what the hell I was doing, and it sounded cool. But all the videos I saw where someone mastered it, basically, it's really powerful. It just has that build quality issue with the stupid slider cap and some other shit that people were breaking on it or something.
I've not seen. Yeah, I think that's all. So I've not seen any. Well, I've not seen anyone posting about, I've just got a new one and it's bust for a couple of months now. So I think they've fixed all those production. I think they were mainly a production issue of how they were being packaged and how they went out, and that's how come they ended up being broken. So I think that's all sorted now.
Right. Oh yeah. See, Walgo bought Dom's A4. I didn't get to buy anything from Dom because I can't afford anything right now. I'm bummed because I actually wanted to buy some.
Yeah.
Right now, there's probably almost nothing left, or it's too expensive. because
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything on there that I wanted that was.
I've got limited budgets, and the only way I can buy stuff is like if I can make a book out of it, I'll probably buy it because I can probably get some of the money back. So that's how I run with my shit in the minute. Either that, or if it's really, 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 really cheap. Because I'm thinking about getting a tiny little keyboard with inbuilt sounds. That's how come I looked at that Gears for Music thing for the 30 quid fucking
Which
keyboard.
keyboard?
But yeah, I just want a little keyboard so that well. Because I also have a guitar, so if I'm doing any cooking, I can just go and grab a guitar and twiddle like that on that while I'm waiting for the cooking to burn itself to death. I'm thinking if I had a little keyboard that I could just chuck in the kitchen that's got a few sounds on it, just to mess around, just to make sure I ain't turning my dinner into charcoal, then that'll be a cool bit of kit. Because everything else is like it's too big and too expensive and it's too much hassle. Just want a few sounds. Just gonna have a mess around on stuff.
So, you've heard me mention this before. I don't know if you tried it or if you had the adapter to do it, but try plugging your guitar into your gooseneck mic on your JDXI and do pitch to MIDI. It's amazing.
I've not actually. That's one thing I've not tried.
Yeah, try that.
I've not
man.
tried
It's a hidden
that.
secret. I discovered it when I saw what was mapped to that microphone. I go, this is a fucking usable pitch to MIDI thing. I haven't tried it yet either, but having done it with other gear that I have, it's a great use for that because you get the nice supernatural sounds. You have some.
It's a mad
parameters.
The JDXI is a mad bit of kit.
And look at the parameters you have for that. It's clearly very usable for more than just your voice. And you just have to adapt the XLR to the quarter inch. Some impedance or whatever the issue is, but it should be awesome. I mean, I've used this silly thing. I showed this on the guitar thing with Eddie last time, but didn't get around to it. But this old Vocalizer 1000 sold a sharper image in the 80s.
Yeah.
Which is basically an ESQ1 brain with no editing capabilities. Some pretty cheesy rhythm stuff on it. And this handheld microphone thingy with some control buttons and a few settings here for different capabilities in the engine. The pitch to MIDI on it is really good. It's just monophonic. So then when I got my theremin and realized I couldn't afford the CV version of it before they added it. Etherwave Theremin from Moog eventually added it on by default. I didn't have that, so I wanted to do MIDI at least, and so I plugged my theremin into this guy, and I was controlling my virus and a bunch of other shit with my theremin. It was great. Now it's not the purpose of this box, so you get some missed triggers, you get a little lag occasionally, but on a pad or some kind of thing with delays and reverbs on it, it doesn't matter because it's all going to flow together anyway, and you just have really cool hand control over your stuff just with a stupid box. I'm not even using the brain inside of it, just using the pitch to MIDI circuit. So, and there are other things that have been around for the same task, but it's nice to have one that looks like it would work really well, and that's the JDXI, and it's a cheap unit.
JDXI is nuts because it's got a analog part, it's got supernatural parts, it's got really good drum part on it, it's got vocoder on it, it's got auto pitch for doing vocals on it. It's got the pitch to MIDI thing. It's ridiculous. It comes with a microphone as well. It's like what? And you can not use that microphone and go in through a different port to use your own microphone if you want to.
Yeah,
it's all a bit like what? Roland really made a bit of an unsung hero out of that little bit. It's a tiny little keyboard as well.
And it's also a bit menu diving, but it does so much it has to be.
Well, yeah, if you want to edit everything in it, you can. And that isn't the case on a lot of synthesizers, is it? You get to dive a little bit. I mean, there's a free synth editor out for it. So, you can do your own if you wanted to go and do an editing. I don't bother, but it's I like the sequencer. The sequencer's ace because you've got your little 16-step sequencer. Really,
and all kinds of tricks with the different tempos and those little extenders for your sequencer range.
You can record
your longer sections.
You can record your filter and stuff like that into it as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. In fact, watching Woody Field track and a few other guys do some demos on it, I got some really cool ideas to take it beyond 4 tracks, because if you build some stuff into there with the higher register or lower register on certain presets, it's really a different sound.
Yeah.
So you can get extra parts by doing that. You just make a few extra sections that you save with those extra parts added to it, and then you can
I've
build
done
up
that on
this whole
my
library.
I've done that on my little, the Roland Compact 8. Because you got 6 octaves of your bass line, so you could have some high pitched stuff as well, and
Exactly.
then you end up sounding like you got 2 synthesizers playing,
Yeah.
because you
So
got
that was
normal bass and you got the high stuff.
with his time extension tricks, with the tempo and that little extender setting where you can make it go longer, and playing on different parts of the key bed and all this other stuff, you could build really elaborate tracks on that thing. So that's why I started doing a challenge. I did some Georgia Moroder stuff and some John Carpenter stuff. I even did a Tangerine Dream one, but I had to cheat because you really needed more parts to do that Love in a Real Train track. So I had to have my MC 101 next to it for like 3 or 4 sounds extra that I triggered mostly live, and did but it was very capable, and you were able to match a lot of the sounds pretty well with the range of stuff on board. It was pretty impressive. I had a Vangelis title ending track for Blade Runner, almost finished, and then I got sidetracked on some other thing. One day I'll go back and finish that. But it also had to use the MC 101 because there are too many layers. You cannot do it with 4 tracks. It's just not possible, because you want to have the boom, 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 with the timpani and all that shit, and you just cannot make it happen on 4 tracks. So
I've done quite a lot on my JDXR. I've got a few songs that I haven't done anything with them, but they're still on it, because I ended up like I don't know what you're like. You get a new piece of bit of gear that's got a sequencer inside it, so you go and make a load of tracks on it, and you go and buy something else. Like then I went off and bought an FA06, did a load of tracks on that. Then I got my MPC, and it's like, I'll just do it all on the MPC then.
yeah,
So
it does more.
I still need to move stuff off my JDXI and off my FA06. That is just like, because I do every time I switch something on, you end up doing a bit of a track somewhere.
Yeah.
So I got loads of little.
I did the same with the Force when I first bought it, because it does so much, even though it wasn't fully updated like it is now. But then I got Machina Plus crazy and said, well, technically the Force can do more, but I like the mojo more of the Machina Plus.
Yeah, well, you found what works for you, haven't you?
But Force is great too, because you can add the CV gate capabilities, mix it with the modular. I mean, Ramsey uses it as a modular recorder, basically, and a controller, doing control tracks on his Force. Not so much lately, but when we first started playing with that, he was doing that. And so it's and with those add-on packs, like I got that, there was a Christmas special a couple of years ago where you could get the FM synth. There's a piano library, some kind of orchestral stuff. It was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different instruments. It was normally like $500-600, and it was down to like $200. I mean, well, that's a no-brainer. I'll put that on my Force, and then I kind of got everything.
Yeah.
Except for what the MPC does, it doesn't do, because they're always lagging behind. They favor the MPC first, and eventually will add it to the Force if they can, because they're basically the same OS, just different flavors of the same OS. And
Force is pretty cool.
They want to keep that MPC stronger, because that's their bread and butter, is the MPC.
Yeah.
They don't want the Force to have exactly the same features, unfortunately.
Well, the Force was ahead of the MPC for a while, because it had the high engine, didn't it?
Exactly. And all those other synth things in there, and now they added that to that.
Yeah.
But what's cool is, because they are so similar, you can basically buy the MPC expansions and put them in your Force.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few. I got all the free ones, and then I got a couple cheap ones that were on special here and there that I liked for certain players. But then they kind of haven't done a whole lot with the Force since, as far as major upgrades. But this whole STEMI thing they're doing on MPC, which is that even out yet, or is that still advertised and not out?
The software version's out, but the standalone hardware version's not out yet.
So they should add that to the Force, because it's awesome for that.
Yeah.
And it also just has so much more visual laid out, with more buttons at a glance.
Yeah.
And the fact that they kept the width of the button so you could still do drum rolls on a little thin button.
And you
It's
got
very clever.
8 little screens as well. It's pretty amazing.
Exactly. And
You
when
know?
you get guys like Nick Trakakis who actually made a 64-part drum kit, all in your face, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so it is more capable from a performance standpoint. It's more of an instrument than a rhythm box.
Yeah.
And when you watch his videos, I mean, he's a trippy guy because he's when he was working for Akai, he was fine, and now he's kind of like off the rails a little bit. Although he's a really nice guy. I talk to him once in a while. But his streams where he does St. Kiko's trick style is like his performance thing for the Force. No one else plays it like that. He's very, very. I know Inky's seen him before, but he's just a very talented guy for creating an instrument out of the Force, not just a groove box, not just a whatever. He does various settings on there to get really expressive stuff out of that sucker.
Clever stuff,
And
isn't
live. A lot of it is live, not just all pre-sequenced. So I just think it's more conducive to that kind of experimentation versus the typical MPC grid. But, you know, like I said, they both take the same expansion packs and stuff. So they're kind of the same box, just different buttons.
I'm going to go and get another drink because my drink's out and I need a drink. So I'll hit mute for a minute.
No problem. I've got probably be here another half an hour or something like that. Do some shit. So anyone wants to jump in and audio only or audio video, doesn't matter. Got the link in the chat pinned up there. So come on in. I was gonna go back and play, but now I'm feeling lazy here, sitting in my little chair, having my drink. So done with the demo for today. Always hook it up later and do it again. It's kind of sad. I'm using my Korg DSS-1 as a keyboard stand for the Theoryboard because I wanted to demo the EX5. They're right next to each other. And I just found my DSS-1 floppies. I'll start loading those in at some point. So I'll do a stream on that at one point once I figure out how to use it. Because it's, if I remember correctly, it's not that complicated, but going in cold, I have no idea how to use it. I'm much more comfortable with the EMX2 because I've been using that since 1992. So it is a hell of a flagship for Korg at the time. A lot of famous bands all hot to trot with the DSS-1. They had a DSM one, that's what it's called, a similar one at a store recently. But when I saw the Espen Craft video comparing the two, I said, yeah, I'm going to stick with the DSS-1. The DSM-1 is much harder to use. It doesn't have all the mojo of the DSS-1, although it's a nice rack mount. So I prefer the fully functional keybed version. What's just going on? Chat. Chat bigger. Just too small. Just too small. Oh yeah, Waldorf XT. That's another one I haven't used for a while. I got that for a song at my local used shop. The guy thought it was broken. Just didn't know how to use it. So I said, well, I'm not sure how to use it either because it's acting funny with the MIDI keyboard they hooked up to it. And in the moment, I was able to talk the guy down to like, it was like $800 for a minty Waldorf XT. So, which is nice because I always wanted to get the original Wave microwave one with the analog filters
which is heavily used on like Tangerine Dream's Melrose album, and some other stuff that at the time was really nice sound. But those went crazy prices because of the analog filter. So everything after that was digital filters, and since it's a digital synth anyway, and digital filters, I'm okay because the Emax 2 has digital filters in as well. The Emax 1 had analog filters, and I was happy with the Emax 2 sound. It didn't have to have analog filters; it could still have some character with the digital filters. So I jumped at the chance to get the XT because it was great. Really, really nice classic Waldorf wavetable sounds. And yeah, some can be cold, but who gives a shit? I like PPG Wave, and there's some great kind of cold digital sounds that Tangerine Dream got out of that as well. So a good portion of that Exit album is just shitloads of PPG on it, as well as lots of other stuff. So I'm okay with that. So good.
I'm back.
I'm just going through the chat here since I missed a whole bunch already.
Oh yeah, cool. I looked at buying an Emax when they were out, but then I looked at how much a RAM expansion would be, and to get 32 megs of RAM was £1,000.
Well, so the Emax 2 maxed out at 8 megs actually. So you're probably thinking of the ESI or or Emulator 3 or Emulator 4 maybe. Because
they
use custom RAM chips on this stupid thing. You couldn't even buy an aftermarket RAM for the Emax at all. It's their own proprietary RAM, and it's some software you have to use to even make it work. And it's, from what I understand, it's not reversible. So if you wanted to pull the RAM out and run it back to like a 2 meg model, I don't think you can. It's like unless you had the service codes or whatever, it's a one-way ticket. And I got the upgrade because I bought the 2 meg version. That's the cheapest one I could get at the time they were selling it.
Yeah, I bought the Casio in the end. I bought the FZ1.
Yeah, I have that over here in the rack. I need to bust that out one of these days because I think I used it like 3 times and never touched it because it's just kind of weird. But it is cool. It does have some features that
I used to have the whole Casio library for that.
That's cool. Yeah, I only
because
have
the guy who used to run the FZ1 club in the UK sold me his FZ1.
Oh wow!
So no, wait a minute. What is it? No, I bought the FZ1, got bored of it, sold it to him. He started running the FZ1 club with his mate. With it was part of the FZ1 club. He ended up with the entire library anyway. Then he sold it back to me. So I got the FZ1 back, but with the entire Casio library.
Wow.
Which is like mental. I mean, it's cool, but you can't load all of it because you can only load like one disc at a time.
Yeah, and the screen is kind of weird on it. It's not a well-built thing, but it does have some cool features, and it sounds pretty good.
At least it had a screen. You can actually see the waveform. So that was
cool. They had the same setup as the VZ series. The same fucking screen on there. That's not.
Yeah, I used to have a VZ1 as well. So yeah.
I have a VZ10M. I have a VZ1. I think I have a. Yeah, I really like the CZ-VZ stuff, but it's funny. Wagyu's mentioned here he wants the Emax 1 SE rack. I got one of those at my local U shop for $200. They didn't know what to do with it, so it's when most places online were selling for $1,500 or more, this stores are like, just pay this for it. So it's kind of fun. Well, it's mainly special because there's analog filters, but otherwise, Emax 2 is obviously faster and higher quality. Because Emax 2 is funny. I don't know why they did this. Somehow the math worked out this way. Max quality in Emax 2 is not 44 kilohertz, 44.1. It's actually 39 kilohertz for whatever reason. But yeah, most people can't tell the difference. It doesn't matter.
It's a bit like that KO2's 46.2 or something. Like.
Yeah, there's this weird stuff like that too. Somehow the math works out that way. But the Emax 2 was 16-bit 39K, and then the Emax.
What was the FZ1? I think the FZ1 was 32 or 30 something. It wasn't 48 or 44.1.
It's probably 12-bit, 30 something, 36K maybe, something like that.
36 Pro. Yeah, it was 36. Yes, it was, because you could do 36,
Oh, sorry.
18, and 9. Yeah. 9 sounded disgusting.
Yeah, it's but sometimes you want that, like on a Mirage, you just like a low sample rate. It sounds pretty cool, actually. So,
Oh yeah, it is proper crunchy.
depends on their engine.
I think he's sorting his mic out.
Hey, can you hear me?
We
Yeah,
can
now I
now,
can.
yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, now you're turned to Dalek. A little bit.
Ooh, am I doing
Keep going.
something?
Oh, now it's better.
Figure it out. Got to figure out the right angle to hold this phone.
Oh, that's always a trick when you're on the phone. Get a good signal.
Well, I have to listen to you guys as well on it too. I have to mute the TV, so. But first world problems.
Of course. There's always first world problems in these streams.
Yeah.
God damn it! I can't afford the best sampler on the market. What am I going to do? Yeah, it's like
I
people
was
want
going
to
to say,
get food, and they want to get gas for their car and worried about fucking synths, right?
You got to remember, Chris, in the day we only had 8-bit computers and sound chips and stuff in our Commodores. So a 9-bit sampler, hey, 1 bit better. Come on.
Oh yeah, I had the. Do you remember the original Yamaha music computer, 65M? I had that. That was mental. That was.
I had a keyboard that you would plug into your Commodore 64 by sequential circuits.
Oh yeah.
And it had a suite of software. It was called something like the Concert Mate.
Okay, because I have the Max, which is also a computer-based one, but also standalone.
Oh no, this was just you plug. It was like a joystick for the Commodore, and then a suite of software. But I never really took to it for doing any production. It was just, it gave us a hint of the future, a taste, if you will, a tease. But it's like, nope, not ready for prime time yet.
My friend bought before I got anything really decent, he bought a Roland JV30, basically sound canvas and a keyboard with almost no automation of any kind, just really basic manual stuff. But if you hooked it to a proper MIDI sequencer like Vision or Easy Vision on the Mac, you could record all the filter movement and all the modulations and various other CCs and stuff to get my. But the keyboard by itself was literally like a performance keyboard. You couldn't do anything with it. Like the filter was always a manual sweep, except for the presets where it was locked in. And so it was a nightmare to use. But once you had a sequencer, like some kind of they wasn't DAWs back then because it was all MIDI only, but you could do quite a bit with it. So he was doing like covers of tracks and stuff and having fun with it. But then I got the Emax 2, which had a decent sequencer on board, but not in 16 part, because it was 16-part multi-timbral. But you couldn't get too crazy with it because the quantization on it was a little bit weird. So if you played it really well into the unit, it would sound pretty good. Kind of like a sketch pad.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you could just dump it to a computer later, clean it up, and stuff, and then have it play the Emax back later. Because again, back then, the audio stuff was a nightmare. It's just too slow. All you had was MIDI.
Sure. Yeah.
And even doing the MIDI sample dump was a nightmare. MIDI sample dump standard stuff is super slow. To dump your sample over to the computer, edit it with Alchemy at the time, which had the FFTs in it. So you suck on a Fairlight, you could see the FFTs, the 3D waveforms to edit stuff. And then I came across they had a RS422 port on the Emax. It's just like I never heard of it. I know RS232, but not 422. Well, they had their own little format for that cable. You buy the stupid special cable that goes RS422 to the DIN8 serial on the Mac, and you can magically dump your samples much quicker over to the Mac to edit an Alchemy or Sound Designer 2 or whatever.
Did you ever have a Atari ST?
No, Ataris weren't big here. When I was a kid, Atari 2600 I had for sure. Friends had a 400, 800 computer, one friend in high school bought a 1200 XL, whatever it was.
Right.
And that's as fancy as the people around here got. I mean, it's Silicon Valley, yet Atari just was not popular here for computers.
Weird. So I had an Atari ST with a sequencer, and the Atari ST has got a MIDI in and out port underneath it, or on the side. I can't remember where it was now. On the side, wasn't it? But it's also got a parallel port on the back, and
nice.
And Trackman had a dongle that was you plugged into the parallel port. I'm sorry, not the dongle. You had an additional parallel port adapter that turned into another 16 MIDI channels. So you had 32 MIDI channels running on that. It was pretty cool back in the day on a 8 megahertz machine.
Yeah, the Commodore stuff, I think the Commodore stuff really took off here with the Amiga, because with all the video toaster stuff,
Sure.
the graphics that people were doing, then it got popular all over the US. But it wasn't, I had basically no friends that didn't have either an Apple II or an Atari, really basic Atari, not an ST. It just didn't take off in this area for some reason. I knew a lot of people who were nerds, so it's just weird how that worked out. It went very popular on the East Coast, it sounds like, or Midwest maybe, and then outside the US.
I feel like I was trying to think, like, I wasn't deep into computer music in those days, so, and have friends with it, but that I just didn't know anybody with the Ataris. I had the Commodore, and it's just, I dabbled in music a little bit with that, like music construction set. Remember that, like drag and drop the notes on a staff and all. But yeah, it was really, like you said, the Amiga coming out. The Commodore 128, kind of upped the game, and then the Amiga came out, and about that time Macs were pretty solid and all.
Yeah.
So the handwriting on the wall of where all that was going. But that was about the time that I was really kind of asleep music tech-wise. I just wasn't paying attention or subscribing or no internet to research all this stuff. And my interest in the technology was completely different, So I cared about the technology, but I wasn't concerned with audio rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amiga was more about games, wasn't it? Really?
Well, it's just that it was,
It's great
exactly.
for
It was like
animation,
we're
toaster, the video
16-bit.
toaster and 3D
Amiga
stuff.
was 16-bit.
Yeah.
That was it.
And that's where Lightwave got launched, on the Amiga.
Yeah, and the thing is, in the pro world, they were competing now with mass comps and not SGIs or some of, but 16-bit was cutting edge back then. And but it was sad days for Commodore. Unfortunately, they didn't last too much longer.
Well, and Atari.
A familiar story.
All went through and almost Apple. Apple almost went.
Well,
tits
sure.
up, didn't it? So
Apple did.
Well, it's funny. If you look at those old computer nerd shows, like this one called Computer Chronicles, it was a common show here on public television stuff. You can watch old episodes on YouTube. But the guy who founded Commodore eventually left and was also in charge of Atari for a while, which is really weird.
Yeah,
And he's on the show for both
Carpentier
roles.
or whatever. Yeah.
He was on different episodes of the show for both roles, as head of this and head of that. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's what happened in those days, wasn't it?
Well, of course, we all
like Nolan Bushnell was around here because he's the guy who founded Atari, and he was the first one doing the Pong stuff. He had this thing called it's a game called Space. I think it was just called Space, and it was just a really simple game, and he made like a one-off and put it in this weird bar that's still to this day still in on Alameda de los Pulgas in Menlo Park, I think. And it was one of those places where you can eat peanuts in the shell and just drop them on the floor. I had that kind of ambiance to it. And then we had this stupid thing. He made a one-off, this space game. It's kind of like Space War, but a little bit different. And he made this really crazy console for it, like really elaborate, trippy-looking thing. And so a lot of this weird stuff happened around here locally. Just if you weren't not tuned in, you wouldn't see it. It's all part of the history when you watch the documentaries. But I never saw that game anywhere. It's just like a weird kind of one-off game that's really rare to this day. But Steve Jobs used to work for Atari, And Nolan was famous for saying when he started there, this is before they started Apple, and he ended up working the night shift a lot because he was a real jerk to everybody, and he didn't take a shower. So he stunk. He was like a vegan fruitarian at the time, so his diet was really weird. He didn't shower, and he's just like a tech hippie type guy. He knew how to program. He knew how to do like some QA stuff and all that. So he wasn't just the marketing guy he became later. He actually was kind of a nerd. Just wasn't as good as Wozniak. And but he worked at Atari, and basically they liked him to a certain extent. They didn't want to fire him, but he was a very difficult person to deal with, apparently.
Well, geniuses usually are, aren't they? They're a bit.
Yeah, but I think that's overused for him. He's not a genius. He's very clever.
No, definitely not.
Einstein's a genius. Newton's a genius. Those kind of guys are geniuses.
Oh, you know what I mean? People who are running the cutting edge, who move things.
Yeah.
Change.
But the problem is they also try to throw Elon Musk in that category. He's just a fucking grifter.
Yeah.
Opportunist guy.
He gets shit done though. Well, he doesn't. He gets other people to get shit done.
He gets people fired up, and he did push a lot of the electric car stuff and solar stuff forward. So I give him credit for that, but not because he made the stuff or engineered the stuff or.
No, he hired the people to get the stuff done.
He hired the people to get it done, and he has a lot of money to throw around. Doesn't care about it. I mean, look when he bought Twitter. Like shortly after he bought it, it immediately lost half its valuation.
Well, they made him buy it.
He doesn't know how to manage money. He's just rich but sloppy.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of bad decisions, but somehow he's still doing what he's doing.
Twitter was already there, and everybody who created it bugged out when he came along, right?
Well, he fired a lot of them.
Fired most of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like
he fired most of them. So
something.
that's why it kept falling apart. They had all these tech issues because he fired the smart guys.
So this is the new Elon Musk the Destroyer.
Kind of, yeah. And then he had the whole press conference where he said "fuck you" to all the people who don't want to advertise on his channel. It's your fault. This channel is going to fail, and it's like your fault. You're the guy. The buck stops with you.
I think with most successful people, people have a what do you call it? A somewhat blinkered look at them, because most successful people also fail quite a lot. It's just that
we had to take risks.
You're like your end point is, they were really good. So yeah, but if you look back, they're also really shit.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. They don't hit a home run every time they swing a bat. They also fuck up. But the thing with a successful person is, compared to other people, they don't fucking give up. So, okay, it didn't work. Okay, I fucked up. Don't matter. I'll try something different, and eventually it'll work. That's what a successful person is.
And then it's not that they keep going; it's that they know how to get people to keep funding them to keep going too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's playing the long game.
I see the Cybertruck drive around. I saw one yesterday, and I'm like, that thing's a piece of garbage. It looks dumb. It has a lot of. If you watch the videos online, a lot of people complain about road tests and some of the problems it has. Although it has some cool ideas in it. It's a monstrosity. Like some 8-year-old designed it. How cool it is! Like, this is cool, man. I made this thing with my crayons, and look at this.
You don't think it's your grandpa's DeLorean?
Oh, the DeLorean is so much cooler. It's ridiculous.
The DeLorean had leaky doors, didn't it? The doors didn't close properly.
And if you want to have a real laugh, although it looks dumb on almost every angle, the look from behind is one of the stupidest views you can get at it. It just
I know. I watched. There's a LA channel where he drives at night time. Drives around, he goes and feeds homeless people and sees car crashes and whatever. And I usually watch that. And he was following a DeLorean into LA. He says, "Isn't that the most?" Sorry, not DeLorean. For following a Cybertruck into LA, says, "Isn't that the most ugliest rear end I've ever seen?"
Yeah, it's unfinished. It's just, it looks like a bad 3D model.
It looks like a really bad one.
It's a low poly 3D model. It looks terrible.
Yeah, it looks like a placeholder, doesn't it? Before you put the real car in.
And he's like, "Oh, this is the truck for the zombie apocalypse, right?" It's like, well, your charging stations won't be working in the zombie apocalypse, you idiot. So how are you going to power the thing?
Marketing wise, though, it did. If he went off and just built a truck, going like, "Oh, it's a truck," he didn't. He built one that looked ridiculous, and look at all the publicity he got from it. So he's clever.
The metal he used that actually rusts, and the fact that they had trouble bending it, and it's just.
I think you can get a coating for it. I can't remember what the price was. It was a lot of money for the coating.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know the truth about it. You don't realize Elon has a brother named Homer,
Homer Simpson.
Exactly. It's like the makeup shotgun, the Homer makeup shotgun.
And he let Homer design the Cybertruck.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like
People
Ed
find it.
Norton. Ed
People
Norton on the
find it.
Honeymooners, always
They're
coming up with
driving
crazy
it,
ideas.
You know, to me, it's a version 1 of a truck, and he had to make a statement, so he did, and it's a bit stupid. It's a bit like that new Astro, what's it called, keyboard. That's making a statement. It's also a bit fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because it's version 1. It's version 1 of let's move our software into a hardware thing, and it got the attention, didn't it? Because you got the stupid circular screen on it, and it's all white, and it's got this fucking fake.
It's also the
wood
name
ends
too,
on it.
Astrolab. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
It's also got a stupid name. It's got it so, but it got the attention. So to me, that is the equivalent of the Cybertruck. It's a good idea, badly implemented, and version 2 will be loads better.
Yeah.
That's how I see that.
can only be better. The thing is, though, I look
Well,
at
yeah,
it.
yeah.
For
Well,
me
in a way,
today-
they've created a low bar, haven't they?
Yeah.
Because they go, oh, we fixed all the things you didn't like. Yeah, because you made it so shit in the first place. So
But
yeah.
we'll see. But I think for what it is, it's pretty good. Like I said before, it's the price. I'd argue that for on the order of $1,500, I want the full licenses of all their software. Everything possible. We're not nickel and diming people for that kind of money.
Yeah, it's a bit like the push
But-
3. You buy the push 3 and you get a demo version of the fucking software.
Yeah, exactly. And look how
Disgusting.
much shit Ableton got
It's
for that.
disgusting.
So it's like, okay.
Although Push 3, from stuff I've heard, it does look very appealing.
It does, but it's not the price you pay for it. You get a demo version of
If
the
you already
fucking
have the suite,
software.
it's not that expensive. But
Yeah,
that's
the
the
problem.
point. It's marketed to people who already have Ableton, and now it's like, oh, this is the baddest controller out there for it.
Because
now. Okay. That's
because
like
I
some of the
never
Astros.
had an official
The
Ableton
Astros
license. I
market
had some kind of
people
a
have already
crack.
got the full V's collection, isn't it? So they've done the same. They've done the same bait and switch as what Push 3 did.
I just got the suite for like less than $400 with this Ableton Novation deal they had for a while. That's dirt cheap for the suite. I mean, this is the suite with
the full
Max
thing.
for Live and all that shit. That was amazing. So if I hadn't bought that, I wouldn't even consider the Push 3. But I may consider the Push 3 in the future now that I have the suite.
Yeah.
Because that's a big hurdle.
But for me, back in the day when I was gigging and jamming, especially having one keyboard with all of those sounds available, and basically I want to be able to just kind of dial through, find a sound, and then tweak a couple of knobs and have fun with it. And I mean, that would be a party machine for me. But these days, I got the collection and I use it, but I don't perform it. So.
But that keyboard is only 2 parts, right? Multitimbral.
Yeah, bitimbral.
Yeah. Okay. Because
that was the other thing.
which is
My
fine if
first
you're
thought is like,
performing.
oh, wait a minute. I want a whole rack of V collection synthesizers.
Yeah.
So
I miss the days when so many things were multi-timbral, like Access Fires TI 16-part multi-timbral.
Yep.
I miss stuff like that, like Emax 2 16-part multi-timbral. It's like no one's doing that anymore because everything's basically, oh, you're going to use the DAW anyway. Who cares, right? But
it's hard to program and
Getting
I know,
lazy,
but I
isn't
wanted to have like for hardware jams, it's nice to have one piece of gear that does a lot of shit with a sequencer or a looper or whatever. It's very handy to have that without having to use a computer all the time. So it's unfortunately not a common thing anymore.
it? You make people up.
Well, it takes a lot of programming. At least the hardware I have here, my little rack has got 4 multi-timbral units, and theoretically it could program all kinds of madness. But it's diving into all of those little menus and everything, and defining the sounds and whatnot.
Well, once you build, it depends on the device. Like multi-timbral presets on a Virus TI is super easy. So I basically just have multi-timbral presets. I clone, make a few adjustments, pick the sounds I want per thing. Very simple. But yeah, initially setting it up and getting it all
starting with a
dialed in
template
is a pain.
Yeah.
I can't.
Hey,
Can't say
Hey,
that.
okay. I have these emus and the Yamaha in particular, and I thought like, if I want a track where I want to hit all 16 channels on these emus, and just take the time to dial it in, let's do it. Here's a chance, but it's work.
it can't jump into for a bit if you want to be on maybe another 15-20 minutes. So
But well, I'm still figuring out this new box I figured and put together, and all the routing and everything, because unfortunately mixing interfaces and stuff can be challenging. But
So what have you got then?
oh, so it's a box with I call it Heyo. Here's a rack of, I have 3 emus: a Proteus 2, Proteus 3, and Ultra Proteus, a Yamaha TX81Z, and a pair of Matrix 1000s. One of which is on loan from a buddy, and then Sonic DP4 for effects. And
Nice.
I have it all patch bayed, and I can split things different ways and all. And I got this Behringer 1U 16 channel mixer, so it's like perfect for this and all. But then interfacing into the computer and coming back at all the routing gets complicated quickly. And I can audition and perform, or I can record, but doing both can be a little challenging. So, but having the jam buddies over Sunday to play on this and figure things out and make some noise. So I think we'll make progress.
You're going retro then, yeah?
It's very retro. Well, it's the kind of thing. I have all the hardware lying around. I might as well put it together and use it, at least as I posted on Facebook. I'll make a track with it, then I'll put it away for 3 years.
Well,
So,
yeah.
I'm working that way, but
Well, that stuff is great. I mean, I was bummed when my friend moved with his girlfriend back east. I mean, all the way to Maine, right? Couldn't get any further away. And we used to jam all the time for about 2 years. We did some. He's the one that taught me all this hardware jam shit back in 2008, something like that. And we had like 2 years of crazy nighttime jams till like 2, 3 in the morning, just live to a stereo recorder. I just had a blast. So much fun.
it is. And having sort of a regular person or group of people like we've got now going, it's wonderful.
Especially this guy, because he's grew up programming TR-808s, 909s, and synthy stuff, so he had both, and he was really good at that. But also, he also got into guitar too later on. But for a while, we're mostly just doing drum machines, synths, and samplers and stuff. And he could just sit there and just look at a either Electribe or 808, 909, or some kind of step sequencer drum machine groove box kind of thing, and just visually do everything without listening. He was so familiar with them, he would just go, okay, I need this here, here, and here, here. He'd go, and it was awesome out of the gate. Oh, you just made that? Yeah, I just made that. Oh, shit. That's amazing, Yep. So he just had the patterns in his mind, could just do it.
That's amazing, I'll tell you.
It was good. It was a lot of fun. And it saved a lot of time, too, because while I'm deciding which things I want to hook up, this is back in my old apartment where everything's way more cramped. I said, okay, I want to hook this thing up, plug this thing in. My mixer was much more reduced back then. I didn't have sub mixers. So I had to decide, okay, this one, I got to use the use the Micron on this one, use the JP8000, and this. And so every jam we did was a whole weird mix of shit. Just random.
Yep. Well, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. And like he wanted to use the micro Korg that I just got at the time because brand new, and he wanted to do some vocoder stuff. So okay, cool. Micro Korg, you have to hold a key down to open the gate. So I just taped a key down. So his hands were free to do other stuff with other gear. Yeah, so he's just kept it on one note and just talked through it with this
Types and pegs.
really dirty, nasty patch I made on it. And
I guess you don't want to use a Bowie knife on a micro Korg either. So
no,
Oh,
I mean
really?
there's other tricks
Not
like
like
the guitar
Emerson.
pick and all that shit you can do on there, but just taping down one key was perfectly fine. And then and he's messing with the parts of the Electribe or some other drum machine. And it got so crazy sometimes because it's all live, so and some of these things don't have sequencers on them.
right.
So I'm running out of hands. So at one point I'm using my nose on one of the keyboards, and it was fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So are you going to record your jam then? What are you going to have this weekend?
Oh yeah, I should be able to. It's taken a while, but I think I finally figured out how to split out recording and monitoring. That's the key. And you can't do like monitoring through the recording because that gives you latency.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But it's really just a question of flexibility and open channels and all, because it's like I don't have, a huge number of inputs right now, and okay, I quickly will fill up. So, but generally speaking, we don't have any issues, and I think 4 or maybe 5 of us will be here. So if we're using my gear, that's fine. If we want to bring a couple other pieces in, I can swap something out in the chain. But mostly I don't want to be doing exactly what Andy's talking about, scrambling fishing gear out of here and looking for power cables and whatnot like that. I want to have everything pretty much set up and ready to go when folks show up.
Yeah,
and
keep the energy going. Otherwise, like, hold on, I got to set this up. Oh, that's not working. Let's change this one.
The thing is, we're sort of to the point, especially if we're just using our regular synths. And if you've seen my recent videos I've posted with the group, I mean, we come in, plug in, and it's like within 10 minutes, it's suddenly the first jam's going. It's like, okay, pick a BPM, okay, pick a key. All right, here we go, and everybody's just got to hop on, but they figure it out. And that's the way we work. And I mean, we meet for 2 hours, and we might come up with an hour's worth of music in that time. So we're really
Did
going.
you see the thing I shared on Facebook? Those guys in the music store in Sweden doing Vangelis.
Oh, I hadn't seen that one.
Check it out. It's a live Vangelis Chariots of Fire. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
yeah, the guy running at the end through the bubbles.
Yeah, the bubbles. He comes in running with his little sticks.
Slow motion.
And then he gets over and he's playing the.
He's playing the snare drum, isn't he? He's doing the
snare drum,
the echo on
brush,
the snare
and he's got the chimes there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. That's really good.
Yeah, it's fun. Although they with all the gear they had there, they could have added one more part. That's the extra womp womp kind of like.
It was.
But I'm not going to complain. It was pretty cool. So
that was really good. It's probably like take 20. You know what I mean? So, yeah, really cool. And looked like they're having a load of fun doing it as well. So
yeah, it's just a music store after hours, and these guys just turned a bunch of shit on and had fun. So
yeah, that's what it's all about.
They tried to do that at the Thomann Synth Reactor for YouTube people a couple years ago with Sam, the Look Mum guy,
and
a bunch of other people doing a similar thing in the store, but it didn't turn out that well. So this is a good one.
So
yeah, they try to do like a massive drone. Like, how many things can we turn on and just do a drone? So they're sitting there hitting chords and a bunch of keyboards, and just this drone gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Funny shit.
That'd be an interesting idea. Get locked in a keyboard store.
It's fun because they're taking advantage of the setup they have.
So are you going to video it, or are you going to upload it, or what do you usually do?
The jams?
Yeah.
This video is problematic because we're all playing. So typically the videos, like because I'm usually like, I just have an arpeggiator locked in so I can kind of get up and wander around. So I'll turn on the iPhone camera and record for a couple of minutes and then just try and stretch that to make a full video's worth of content. But yeah, we don't have anything set up, and we'd love to set up like
we'd like to PTZ camera that someone can control with one hand and have it kind of pivot around and zoom.
Well, we'd like to even set up more for streaming down the road, and I'm just not really set up here for it. But there's a good possibility in the coming year that we'll actually maybe even have a dedicated facility for something like this. So fingers crossed that works out.
Or get one of those 360 cameras and just stick it in the middle. Done.
Well, I have a ceiling fan right up here in the middle, so I could put that on and just have it spinning around. Put it on low.
They actually did something like that. You ever watch the From Dusk Till Dawn movies? There are a couple sequels.
Oh yeah.
And there was the second one. It was just so, because it's a comedy kind of. The original was kind of an action comedy horror thing. But the second one, the guy just went off the rails and made it more of a gimmicky, funny kind of thing. And there are several scenes in the movie where cameras are everywhere. Like there's a security camera that's pivoting during one of the scenes. That becomes your point of view. Another one, it's like down from a ceiling fan, I think. They just kind of for fun threw some gimmick angles in the movie.
Cool.
Yeah. So, it's a shitty movie, but that part was funny.
So
Yeah, the PTC cams are pretty cool. I was going to get one for here, but just couldn't decide on what I wanted because some of the good ones are like, at least $600-700.
yeah.
And some you can control with a joystick, so you have total control very simply with the movement. Some use, like Ramsey has one with a remote, so he has to kind of use a TV remote to control it, which is a little more cumbersome. Because you have to directly aim at it, and you also have just buttons, so it's not as smooth as like a joystick would be. Because Kent automatically follows you, but if you have too many people moving, then it's going to be all over the place.
Kent's just been dropping the big names in chat. He says he's had a jam with Hans Zimmer in a music shop.
Oh yeah.
Well, we can't outdo that one.
The cutout of Hans Zimmer or the real Hans Zimmer?
No, the real one was the sound of him.
Yeah.
What was Kent on? Triangle.
Well, if they had a CS80, he's probably playing that.
Probably. I bet he was.
Yeah.
I bet he's on something really crap.
They're all there to see Kent.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Kent was the main attraction, really.
Yeah, the PTZ that Ramsey has, I talked to the guy in I think he's in Singapore or something like that. And ever since I talked to him, he keeps asking me about stuff. I'm like, well, I don't have the money now, so I can't really buy anything from you. But the base model I could get from him, that based on what the Ramsey has, without any extra goodies, was about $500, maybe $600 with extra fees and stuff, shipping and all that. But he has a module. His company also makes the joystick modules, a separate thing, and that's like another $400 or $500 just for the stupid joystick module. Ooh. So that's why most people buy it with the remote control thing, even though it's kind of clunky. It's just cheaper. But then like the Osmo and some other ones that Kent has that have they're pretty decent and small, and they also have the auto follow mode. It's just kind of clever. So there are a lot more choices now than when I started looking. It is nice to have those because instead of setting up like 4 or 5 cameras, you set like 2 main cameras, different angles, and then you have the PTZ for everything else. The zoom feature and stuff, which is nice.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, because you just have a center post somewhere, and they could just cover the entire room pretty much. As long as you have light going to it. Because I keep my room a little bit dark for mood, which is why I have little spotlights everywhere for stuff like these little. Started putting these on things, and I have Velcro stuff so it can actually Velcro to the back of a keyboard aimed down. It gives me enough light to see the control surface, but still keep the room fairly dark. Because I know some people use those like chain lights, like Eddie has chain lights in his place.
Right.
I don't like those. It's too much light, and to get the brightness you would need to really see everything, it makes the room too bright. I like having the mood lighting in here.
Did you watch the Emon the other day? With Jim and Andy and Grace and whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to yet.
Because Jim had his own lighting, didn't he? He opened his Euro rack case and he's got his own pink lighting inside it.
That was great.
You can get those. Yeah.
Really
that
cool.
really worked.
Yeah, it did.
And you can totally sequence it with DMX and all that. So.
Well, I didn't know if Jim's lights were programmable or was it just that single color like that. But even that, having those lights,
I couldn't tell who was who on the rest of the artists. All you got was like a silhouette.
And what was funny was if you're in the Facebook where people are posting the photographs, like you see the photos of the people, it's like, oh, there's all the information that's missing in the silhouette. You know?
Oh right, okay. I didn't think about the Facebook. Right.
Yeah, go there. Like all the performers, Simon and
can actually see what they look like.
Dave's the big photographer, Mo. So he takes great photos and all. But it's almost like while the show was going on, people were posting these photos so you could see.
Right.
And all. But
Yeah, I haven't done an EMOM in San Francisco for months because it costs a lot of money to go up there, and just the trip up there, the gas alone in my car is round trip is something like 40, $50 or something like that.
Yeah,
Do
sure.
a couple, and then also just the time to get up there, and so it's I imagine
Yeah,
it's
we think of you in that area generally speaking, but of course, like me in this area, you know, there's certain places we think are close, but with traffic and everything, it's oh yeah, that's a 2-hour drive. And
yeah, we have. I mean, you have some fast roads around here when there's not traffic, so I can get to LA on a good day. I can get to LA in less than 5 hours, just over 5 hours. But that's it's almost 400 miles.
yeah,
So you can travel big distances here pretty quickly if you want to, but a lot of times you get construction, traffic.
well, that's getting
Gotta
you
take a
from
nap
sort
once
of
in a while,
highway exit
whatever.
to
So,
highway exit. Then then it's all the local, whatever, right?
yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah. Like one time I got screwed on the 5. 5 is just really quick, but who knew construction was going on? I didn't look ahead, and I was stuck on the same spot for almost 2 hours.
ugh,
Construction, and because it's a 2-lane highway in some parts, maybe 4 lanes at some point, 2 and 2. It's like fuck, you can't do anything. There's no turnouts. You can't just get on the shoulder and drive down. They give you a ticket for that.
right.
So you just got to hang out there. And it was a hot day. And I'm like, this sucks, man. Why'd I get up early for this? Just never
Oh
sleep.
well. But yeah, we don't have any EMOMs specifically around here, but our little jam group have had we've done parking lot shows in the past because our leader runs a small school, and so in support for their annual fairs, we would set up and each perform and then jam in the end. But trying to find a venue is a little challenging for folk around here, I guess. I don't know, but oh well.
Yeah, they used to have several around here, mostly around San Francisco, Oakland. And then the one group I barely joined before they called it quits because it was getting too expensive to run. Because the venues they chose were too expensive. The one place I go regular is out of a hackerspace in San Francisco. It's dirt cheap.
Right.
But it's also in a horrible neighborhood in the Mission District where there's like human shits everywhere and stuff. So, and the parking's terrible, and there's just tons of homeless
Sounds
people.
like
So
fun.
here I'm walking with like $6,000 worth of modules in these cases, and just always ready to get jumped and ready to beat the hell out of somebody with my module cases just to get them away from me. But so it's a bit of a hazard to get to the venue. You got to park several blocks away, walking through hell. But
Yeah.
the other events I used to do at movie theaters. So the last one I actually got a chance to perform in was
It's a bit like trying to do an EMOM in the movie Escape from New York, isn't it?
oh yeah,
Or Escape from LA in your case.
sure, yeah. And those cases are they're light enough to carry long distances, but they're heavy enough they'll do some damage if I hit somebody with them.
Yeah.
The
Crazy.
sharp edges and metal cases and stuff. I mean, I don't want to
Sure.
mess up my modules, but I will defend myself if they want to fuck with my modules. So, but yeah, the one they did in the movie theater was great because you have the stage of the movie theater, the screen to do the video synth, the guy in the back of the room, and then you just get up there in front of nice comfy seats. It was a perfect venue. But it was costing them, I think, $300 a night minimum for the rental fee, and almost nobody donated money to them. So
Right.
it was all out of pocket, and they said, we've been doing this for 2 years now. We're not going to do this anymore. And it sucks because it was the group that's at the hackerspace is cool, but it's a mixed bag. A lot of stuff is like, it's okay, But the caliber of guys at this other one called Resonant Frequencies at the movie theater, they were awesome. The guy who ran the group was incredibly good. He would go on last always. And his modular rig was super crazy expensive. He knew how to massage the shit out of it. And it was clearly the highlight of the night. His set was amazing. But now they don't do it anymore, sadly.
Well, I tried talking to movie theaters around here as to, hey, is there a time when we could rent out and do exactly that? And they were like, nope, we don't do that kind of thing. So I was like, oh well.
Well, the other problem too is, I don't know, it's not necessarily legal, but I guess they do it anyway. A lot of movie theaters learned that they don't want people screwing around on their phones all the time, so they'll put jammers in. And so I tried to stream that night from the thing because the person who normally
Right,
streams,
right.
it was not there, and I couldn't get a signal on my phone at all.
Ah,
It was jammed. So I had to record the phone at the time I was using was the one I have now with tons of memory on it. So the phone was always teetering on almost being full. So I had enough memory to record like 3 minutes of my 6-minute set or whatever, at some stupid angle because it's on the table. But at least I got some of it. But when the people do the proper recordings, it's a real professional setup. So
yep.
it's nice. Nice.
We had this Electronica Fest here in November, and I got involved with it. I think I mentioned before on that. But the guys who run that are now thinking about trying to do sort of more meetups, like an outdoor in the park meetup in the good weather or whatever, and looking for suggestions. And where could we do it at all? And I'm like, well, yeah, I know it's tough. Like you think you can just walk out in the park, but getting power and whatnot, and the places that have power now you got to rent them and whatnot. But that's at house concerts.
There was a couple doing that in LA. It's called Modular on the Move, or something like that, and Modular on the Spot. That's what it was. Modular on the Spot, and they started in LA, and they would go to some random part. They had like portable generators and stuff like that, because not everybody has, like, my cases can take DC, so I can power my modular from power banks. I purposely bought the Deptford ones are all AC. I don't want to use AC. I want to use DC. So you can just get a decent power bank and just do your stuff like I do with my telescopes. But they started doing stuff all over LA, and it spread to I think Portland was doing some for a while, and Oregon, and Washington was doing some for a while. Washington State.
So are they part of, because there's Modular on the Mall, and I'm on their channel.
Yeah, there are a few of them around. It's all based on the original Modular on the Spot. I don't know if they're all affiliated anymore, but as far as I know, they're not doing them in LA anymore either. Something happened, but it was like a couple, a guy and a girl that basically started doing this, and they would perform as well as encourage people to sign up and do it. And they were literally just some open field somewhere with no power of any kind and no distractions for the most part. So it was like some of those older things you see. Like there was an old Tangerine Dream thing they did where they set up in a forest somewhere, and they had to bring all kinds of like power supplies and generators and stuff to power all the old shit.
Oh yeah.
So it was like that, but 20, 30 years later, and it's kind of fun to see them doing that kind of stuff. But it's not a common thing. I think a lot of times it's just because it's the power thing.
Sure.
Too many people have AC cases, and inverter battery packs are not cheap, and a lot of times it's not enough juice. You got to have a proper generator.
Yep.
And then the generator makes noise, so you got to move the generator way off and use extension cords.
Right.
So you don't hear the stupid generator.
It's always something. But no, I'm with you on power banks. I have those for my portable little setup.
Yeah. The stuff you can get these days is great. I mean, I have one power bank with 2 USB ports, and using those ripcord cables, I can power both of my Electron brew boxes.
Oh yeah.
Just from one battery for hours.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
I've got
it's really
power
clever
bank.
shit.
I've got a power bank from SP404.
Yeah.
But I can also power. It's got 3 ports on it, so I can power other things as well, like a external keyboard or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're spoiled for choice nowadays.
Yeah. Well, if you got stuff that is you can run off a power, you can go anywhere, and you can record it with your phone. If your phone's got Wi-Fi, you can stream the fucking thing. It could be anywhere. It could be on the beach. You know what I mean? It could be anywhere. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and I've got
Robin Vincent did the one at the beach. I'm scared to bring stuff to the beach because fucking sand.
Well, yeah, beach will kill your kit.
Yeah, and the salt air and all that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, if you go to a picnic location or a park or something like that, you could do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Get a good backdrop.
Well, it's like Darren and his park bench stuff.
You don't need a CS80 for a backdrop. You can have like a cliff. Way better, and it works.
It's fun.
See if Kent's still watching.
That's why I have limited stuff when I travel to LA because of just carrying a backpack all day long. But I like doing those little jams on the car up at Mulholland Drive and stuff. stuff. It's just a nice change of scenery and something to look at.
Do you ever get anybody like honking as you go by?
I get a lot of weird looks if I happen to be looking when they're looking, but sometimes I do them late at night with a nice view at night. But other times I'm so tired because of the events of the week, I will crash in the car and just wake up sometime before sunrise. So, oh shit, I got to hurry up and make this so I can upload it. And then that's commute traffic going through Mulholland Drive. Actually, it's weird. I didn't expect that because it's kind of out of the way.
Right.
I guess it's a shortcut for some people to go through Mulholland Drive. And so a couple of my videos, you can see just people just constantly flying by because it's rush hour. But it's just fun because the views are nice there. There's one turnout I found I use over and over again because it's got a nice big dirt turnout. Because sometimes idiots are like racing up there. They gotta get their little race urge going. Like, and I'm just worried they're gonna come around the corner and hit my fucking car, right? Whether I'm asleep or not. And it's a little nerve-wracking. So I found a spot that's far enough away from a curve and has a big dirt turnout that most likely they will miss me. And so far I've been pretty lucky there. But there's a lot of wackos up there trying to like take their fancy cars for a spin.
Famous road for that.
Oh, I see like McLarens going by and Lamborghinis, and it's not just little shitty cars. It's like really nice cars going fast up there. So it's a little hazardous, but the view is really nice and it's quiet. And a couple times I've gotten up and seen coyotes walking around and stuff. It's really nice.
Ooh.
Little wildlife, wild turkeys. But yeah, it's a pain to carry too much stuff out.
Yep.
Set it up
I
correctly,
agree.
get the power, get the camera angle right, all that kind of shit. My stuff is literally a pocket tripod made by Joby. They're the guys who make the Gorilla Pod. They make this really cool pocket tripod that folds up to be not much bigger than a matchbox, just a little thicker.
Oh my.
And you fold it out, and it's a clip that holds the phone. And you pull the bottom out, and you open it up like almost like a parabola. The legs spin out, and then you have a little tripod at the bottom, and it's got a tiny little ball head in there, so you can just find the angle you want, and it stays.
Or get one of them Gorilla Pods. You can attach it to a
Gorilla
tree
Pod is just
branch.
too bulky. This actually goes in my pocket, and you wouldn't even know I'm carrying it.
All right.
Also, Gorilla Pod is not good if the camera starts getting too heavy. The friction on the Gorilla Ball things, it starts to move a little bit.
Yeah.
So I like the fixed heads with the stiff ball better because they tend to hold.
I'm trying to get my portable setup all fit inside a rucksack, so it just all goes together.
Oh yeah, well they have also those tiny little metal tripods you can get that are pretty small.
Yeah, I've got a little tripod.
Yeah.
I've got two tripods. We've got a small, I've got 3 tripods. Thinking about it, but yeah, you want one that will not get blown over in the wind. So
yeah,
there's that.
That's the other thing too.
consideration.
Mulholland Drive gets a little bit windy, so some nights it's a little tricky.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't. These days it doesn't take much. There's so many clever ways to mount things and to attach a camera to stuff. And portable friendly stuff. And then because my little audio recorder segment for the phone is just a blue Mikey digital. So the phone is doing the audio and the video at the same time. There's no extra gear.
Oh, so you don't have to sync it up later. You just do it all in one
Nope,
shot.
it's all done in one take. Sounds fine, and it's super portable. The whole, other than the cables, the whole thing with the tripod and the microphone adapter / audio input all fits in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
So definitely backpack friendly because I can put it in my pocket.
Yeah, I'm thinking SP404. I've got 2 Roland compacts and maybe a little USB keyboard if I want to play that as well. And that should be enough. I reckon that should be quite a good bit of kit.
Tell you what, I like the key steps with a power bank.
Yeah, they're a bit big though, key steps.
Well, okay.
For a rucksack, you need to get a
kind of
big
long,
rucksack
yeah.
for it. Because they're like 50
And because they're
centimeters
square,
long.
they're very boxy. They're kind of pointy, boxy.
if you want a nano keys or something like that.
I want one that's like 25 keys. That'll do me. Something that's about a foot long, not 1.5 feet, 2 feet long, which is what a key 37 is. Key 37 is, I think, 55 centimeters long. It's too long.
Too long.
It's
The
too
original
big.
key step's a little shorter.
Yeah, it's a little shorter, but
That's what I've
still-
got. That's
Still
what I've got.
boxy though. The 37's quite a bit longer.
It's more. Yeah, I've got the normal one. It's still too big. It won't fit in
It's
my
big.
rucksack. I'll have to buy a different
Yeah.
rucksack. It's too large.
That's why I like the Rolly Seaboard block keyboard, because not only can I use it for all the Rolly stuff with the iOS apps, but it's a much shorter 25 key keypad, and it has all the expression.
Wagyu's gone off and measured it. Look, he's such a fucking nerd, isn't he? Bless him. It's 48 centimeters long. I'll have you know. Is it? It's still too fucking long. It won't fit. It doesn't matter how. Doesn't matter if it's
It
like
won't close
3
on a normal
cubits
backpack.
long
Yeah,
or
it's too
whatever.
long.
It won't fit.
I tried to fit one in my backpack, so I went to the Seaboard or the X Key. The same guys that make Witty X Key
Oh,
yeah.
keyboards make the little
Oh yeah, yeah. The little
USB
flat
one
thing.
or the Air, which is wireless,
Yeah.
and they're nice and short. You don't have to get the 37 key one.
See, I knew he'd have gone off and measured it. I knew it. His fucking house done. Hilarious.
Well, these are the tidbits we need to know, so that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I've in my in basket save for later thing on Amazon, there is a larger rucksack, so something like that would
Oh,
fit
that's
in.
what I was going to say. Just get a bigger rucksack.
Well, yeah, I know, but you know that's like another 40 quid, isn't it? So,
Well, compared to you're going to spend 40 quid for a keyboard, right? No. Yeah.
well, there's that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But the nice thing about the key steps is you have the velocity, you have the aftertouch, which is nice. A lot of tiny keyboards don't.
Yeah.
I love the arpeggiator.
Arpeggiator's good,
That's my jam.
and the extra kind of macro features on there to do other things. It's nice.
And the fucking awful USB connection that's on the back.
Yeah, but that's when it came out. You know,
I know.
I
Well,
mean,
So the
even
one-
my ATV A-frame awesome drum has a stupid micro USB power connector on it.
Yeah, you just got to be
So-
careful with it, ain't you?
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Don't knock it because you'll kill it.
But it's cool because the battery, the little Anchor battery I use for a lot of portable use, the charge cable that comes with it is micro to normal USB A.
Right.
And so to charge it, the mini goes into the micro goes into the battery and off the whatever USB port. To power things like ATV, I already have the cable with the battery. I have it Velcro to the back. I have it flip it, and now that's convenient actually. Just gotta be careful with it.
Yeah. Well, my FGDP thing, that Yamaha thing, that's got a micro USB cable.
Oh, it
connection.
does. See that shouldn't, because that's a new thing. That's no excuse. Those
Yeah,
bastards.
I know. It's a bit of
They
a.
probably had on the books for a long time. Just didn't
Yeah.
need to sign it.
They've probably got a load in the bin. Need to get rid of them, so they'll put it on the latest product to take their inventory down. Which is fair enough, but you know, there you go. Sounds great though, so I'll shut up. It's loads of fun, that is.
Yeah, but I used to like mini USB. I still have some stuff that takes mini USB. I don't know why. It's not that.
Oh yeah,
much
there's
bigger than
mini
micro.
USB, micro USB, USB A, USB B, and USB C. There's fucking so many versions of USB out there. Mental.
But the mini was strong and easy to plug in.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They just we gotta go smaller. It's like, leave it alone. It's fine.
Yeah.
Stop reinventing shit that's not good. You know?
Yeah, I like the great big square one that looks like a house. That's the best one. Is that A or B?
Oh, the USB 3B.
The
host.
big square version.
Yeah, the big extra tall
The
one.
one,
That's
the one you'd
the,
usually plug into a
USB
printer.
3.
That one. Yeah, that's a
Oh,
really.
that's just the B. That's the USB
the
B.
host.
USB
Yeah.
2.0 B. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
But
good.
the
that is.
USB 3 even the Force takes the USB 3B, which is the extra tall one.
Hmm.
Force has the on the back of it, so it's really sturdy.
Yeah. Good stuff.
But they're funky because they're only certain things take them.
Yeah.
Dell, when you buy a Dell computer, they always come with those stupid cables, and a lot of stuff you try to use with it, like printers and other stuff, don't have that port on it, so can't use it. So we used to have a whole giant stack at work of those extra tall B cables that nobody ever wanted to use.
Well, so many cables.
gotta-
That's the last stuff I bought was cables.
Yeah, talk to Kent about cables. He runs a company. Well, he could do.
He loves his cables.
Wow. To be fair, the people who sold him loves him.
Well, they probably thought he knew what he was doing. Maybe he says, "Hey, he wants this many. We'll just sell it." We're not gonna say, "Are you sure you want this many cables?"
Yeah.
They just want to make money. So,
Mm.
you know, if he gets more stuff, you could use that shit easily. I lost track of how many cables I have.
Oh gosh.
I have just the modular CV cables. I have probably, there's all the different lengths and colors, and some have the glow in the dark coating on them. Some have the little light up ends on them. Some are right angle. Some are straight. Some are the stackable cables. Just all these different flavors times however many you need for an average patch. So I must have like 300 cables or something like that. So it's not hard.
You are the cable guy.
Yeah.
Well, and just all the shit plugged in here, because everything here that's racked is plugged in live.
Yeah.
So just 1/4-inch cables. Got a shitload of those.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And that's why I didn't buy the Mogamis, because I'd be broke. I'd be broke before I lost the job.
Yeah. That's I've always what I have friends like, oh yeah, I wired my studio with Mogami, Star Quad, whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's like all of my equipment costs as much as your cable.
Now I could see why they do that, because I have occasionally had hosts of cables that never moved just go bad for whatever reason. Just like you can have Ethernet cables just go bad sometimes in the closet. Just shit, just the copper just fails for some reason. I don't know.
Well, that's pretty unusual, but
It's unusual, but it happens.
yeah.
We had to swap out cables every once in a while, the Cat 5 cables especially.
Well, building this rack last week, I decided I had to wire up the Ensoniq. I need, 8 cables, basically, an 8-cable snake, but I only wanted a 3-foot length. And all of my cables are, like 6 foot long. And I'm like, okay, let me just go online, order a quick 3-foot snake. So they're all wrapped together and beautiful.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm going to dip out because it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I got to go get some food and do some other stuff. So I stayed on a little longer than I planned, but it was fun. So
Cool
glad you
stream.
guys
Hey, enjoyed
came
it?
by,
Good chat. Right.
and, I'll go back and listen to my blown out demo earlier.
It's not too bad. It's just when you press the keys really hard. That's all it was.
I was probably because I turn on the aftertouch. This thing doesn't have to use aftertouch, but the Theoryboard does have aftertouch as well as velocity.
Yeah.
And I may have invoked some stuff with the aftertouch or just by using too much velocity. So it's possible.
Right. Catch you on the next one.
Good times.
It was
yeah.
nice and
See-
crunchy. I like
see
Yeah.
it.
everybody. Was
Catch
it?
you
Okay,
later.
good. I'll go back and listen.
Yeah. Cheers.
right.
Bye.
Take care. Good night.
Bye.
See everybody. Bye.